Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Thomas van der Zander, Cannabear, Gary Hughes, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Mr. Amish, Sensual Goat, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, Todd Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, JMails24, Yu Unamento, Iron26, Endless, Golden McKeegan, Retro Bill, Level Plain Poem, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B. Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Ahmed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, Chow Yun Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
For our son in Antarctica. And credit to QE, you know, he did it as a treatment style. He tried to keep it entertaining, but it was so boring.
Oh, why has he asked me to cover it then? If it was boring, why is he asking me to cover it?
Because it won't be boring when you're covering it. I heard something yesterday that was hysterical. Alex Jones interviewed by Candace Owens.
Okay, give me a link to that. Has that got anything to do with our subject? Can you hear me?
I was on mute. I was talking on mute. He talks at the end of how Earth is going to be just like a visitation planet, like a zoo. He's out of his mind.
That's after talking to flat earthers.
Yeah, he's got to be controlled opposition in this subject.
Yeah, pretty much everything Alex Jones talks about, Neil, he's there for that reason. You know, to make anybody who questions those very same things look just as crazy as him. That's the role that he's playing. He's the madman that talks conspiracy stuff. So I think he's playing a perfect role.
But she played a clip of him from 2022, and everything he was saying is what's going on right now. I'm sorry,
maybe.
not from 2022.
And there was even in the past.
From 2000, from 2002, not 2022. She played a clip from him like 22 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, half of the stuff that he talks about is probably, you know, truth. But the way that he presents it and the way he acts and the way he has these emotional breakdowns and all this, just his behavior, you know, I think it's there to make people think like, okay, all these people who are talking about this, who listen to Alex Jones, who even question these narratives, they're all probably just as crazy as him.
Did you notice when the flat Earth, when he was on with who was it? The flat Earth, you know, Dave Wise and I can't think anyway. And but
Hey,
even
bro.
but even he weren't having it there, was he? Like even he was like, oh, I don't know if I can go this far to make it look like, you know, no, they're even more crazy than me.
Yeah. Yep. Man, I just hope we're done with this Antarctica stuff, man. I can't be listening to it no more. It's really so stupid, man.
Well, we need
Nathan,
something
I don't know
else
why.
then. We need something else.
I know, right?
Well, you know, that's not what I mean.
Yep.
I mean, John sent a message saying, cover this video, as in the one that you've just said is really boring.
Yeah, because he was trying not to
John
do a
Spurgeon?
treatment on it.
QE sent the video? Sorry.
You were saying Sensual Goat said that QE tried to cover Dave McKeegan's coverage of Antarctica and it was incredibly boring.
I'm sure it was. Yeah, I don't know. Why does he want you to cover it then? I don't know.
That's what I
don't
asked.
know.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to tell you.
No, we've got a long protracted silence.
He wants because there was noise in the background. He wants you to cover it because there's some things in there that he said, "Oh, Nathan should cover this tomorrow," because he was trying not to do a treatment on it.
Yeah, he got you in minutes. How long through the video did you get, Neil?
The majority, you got through the majority, if not all of it, Neil, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think he got to all of it.
Is there a particular point to start?
Oh, to be honest, there
Like
was
Brian,
two.
like
See,
Brian
can you
says at
imagine
the
that, Nathan?
beginning.
Two reviews of Dave McKeegan's videos in a row. Oh,
Why, is he covering it on his show tonight?
no, he's continuing with Will Duffy on the Normie podcast, whatever it was.
Man, but after you point out the logical fallacy and pretty much non-experimenting and everything that's wrong with it, how much more is there to talk about?
Well,
You guys
Creaky,
notice
the
like
Welsh
everybody's
anti-flat
talking about it?
earther.
Have you guys
Sorry,
noticed that
Much. Sorry to
everyone
cut
is
you off,
talking
mate.
about it? All the channels, FE and Globe, they're all talking about it, and it's all just nonsense. You don't think maybe that was by design?
Yeah, I was going to say Creaky, the Welsh anti-flat earther. He's made so many videos now, like one every day about it the past month at least.
Yeah,
Of course,
we're
it's a
talking
cash
about some
cow.
trip.
He's probably getting paid bank by doing it.
Yeah, it's just cringe. I know he's making money. Credit to him, but watching someone sell snake oil is a bit, uh, you know, bit hard. It's a hard watch.
You don't even have snake oil.
His audience thinks he does.
So are we covering it or not?
Entirely up to you.
I don't care what we cover particularly.
So then run it.
I'd already queued it up until Sensual Goat said it was really boring. And you're like, oh, right, okay, well, I don't want to cover it then.
Oh, because Sensual Goat, what is he, your new favorite now? What
No.
Sensual Goat says goes?
No, just a man with an opinion.
Yeah, sorry, I was just giving you a heads up. You're gonna have to extract the laughs from this.
No, there's
Because
stuff on
Dave's not gonna
there
offer
that
them.
Nathan, there's stuff on there that Nathan can get very animated with.
About how animated I get. Is it useful?
Yes, it's useful because that's what's going on right now. You got a bunch of dumb flat earthers going to freaking Antarctica.
Yeah.
Neil, do you still believe they're going somewhere? Do you believe that anyone is going anywhere? Like, you really believe it?
Of course not.
Then why'd you say it?
They're saying it. They're saying they're going down there.
They're saying it. What the? Are you
He just
people
said it.
freaking listening to me? Am I coming in clear?
Yeah, you literally just said it. What'd you just say, Neil?
You got a bunch
Why
of
was the
flat
question
earthers
ever-
going to freaking Antarctica. Does that mean they're
Say
going to
it again.
go, Matthias?
Say it again, Neil.
Holy shit.
Slowly.
Okay, we
Say
get
it
it. We get
again,
it. Matthias, we got it.
Neil.
We got it. We got it.
You wanted stuff to cover? You can check out Mantis Waves anti-flat Earth video if you're interested in covering something.
I didn't hear that. My wife's making coffee and banging quite a lot of noise. So you'll have to repeat that. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Mantis Wave, he made a video against flat Earth. Maybe you could cover that.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to grab us the link for it? Is
Yeah,
anybody
sure.
in Discord that can stick it in Master B?
Yeah, I got it.
Thank you. Thanks.
But he's got to post to the main text chat first.
Yes. Just have to search it up again.
The reason I'm so hesitant to cover Dave McKeegan is we've covered plenty of Dave McKeegan's videos, and they are boring. Aren't they?
Yeah. This isn't David McKeegan, though. It's a different guy.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, but I'm just saying why I'm more keen to cover something else is because Dave bores the tits off me. He does.
Right.
Back in
Put a
2020,
glass eye to sleep. Sorry, whoever that was. Go ahead.
Haven't we covered this already? This looks familiar.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I haven't seen that. Maybe you have.
I'll just have a quick listen to it halfway through, and we'll see. This does look familiar just straight away from the intro. I remember this 80s style intro.
Right.
there's going to be about one of the more interesting topics on the interwebs, which is the debate around the very question of debates, the value of live debates themselves. Are live debates a good format for discerning the truth and exposing the frauds? Or on the flip side, are they a way for people who are good at dishonest rhetoric and coming up with arguments that take data out of context in ways that their dishonesty becomes difficult to refute in the short time constraints that live debates inherently possess?
A bit of both. The latter in some instances for our globe-believing brethren. They, of course, project that straight onto us.
To basically just push false narratives and not immediately get called out for them. Well, as it turns out, there's a very simple question, actually, that can be asked, which I argue gives a very definitive answer to the live debate bro question. And that question is, why are flat earthers good at debates? Seems like an interesting thing to say,
Yeah, we
right?
covered
I
this
mean, flat
recently.
earthers should...
About 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago.
Did we cover this already?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I thought we did.
Cool.
That's okay. Looks like we're
In
covering
fact,
Dave
there was
McKeegan.
there was a good after show about it as well. So it developed a lot of conversation. I remember I was at work listening.
You have the link for that? I want to see it.
Who wants it? Ask someone else.
Yeah, I just
learned
want
that
to
from
see
you,
the
Nathan.
replay.
Say again?
Said he learned that from you.
Just see the replay. My bad.
Whoever shared it, it's in Master B. And also in
How
Discord.
far up? Is this a Central Goat share, that one?
I don't know, you shared it with me.
No, I'm
I
talking
think I
about
shared back in like a month ago. I think I shared that one. Why a flat earther is good at debates. Is that the title of the video?
Yeah, I remember you hadn't actually watched it when we watched it. It was a good video.
Yep.
Good to respond to. I'm not saying it's a good video. Good to respond to.
First of all, the
Nathan, do you ever
McKeegan video
hear
was
from
done
anyone?
in the after show, so nobody heard anything. So it's good for the audience.
Yeah, well, we've got nothing else to cover, so that's probably what we'll cover. Let's just see. Let's see how bad it can be.
Hello
you go.
everybody, hope you're doing well and thanks for joining us for another video. Now, if you're a regular viewer of my channel, you may have already heard the rather exciting news that I posted a few weeks back. In December, I will be heading all the way to Antarctica to take part in what is being dubbed the final experiment. And there's already been a lot of reaction to this whole thing. So in this video, I wanted to cover what the final experiment is.
It's not an experiment, dumbass.
How am I intending on contributing to it, and also what the current state of play is for everyone involved. For those not familiar with the final experiment,
It's a formal logical fallacy known as affirming the consequent. If P, then Q, Q, therefore P. If we have antipodal positioning that I assume, then I will observe 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Speculatively, they observe 24-hour sun in Antarctica, therefore their antipodal ball assumption stands true. It's not an experiment. It doesn't have a valid hypothesis. Dave's an idiot.
this is the brainchild of Will Duffy, who lives in Colorado. At the start
Who it seems is a perpetual liar. He can't help himself. He's constantly lying. One of the things that I was asked to cover yesterday but didn't was Banjo's video, where he covers various aspects of Will Duffy and his lies. New lies, not the ones we've covered already. Specifically that he's only come to the subject off a Facebook post in 2021, and then he's involved with a show that was covering Flat Earth way back in 2019 and earlier. You're like, why lie? Why say you've only come to this subject from a Facebook post when you're clearly well aware of it, well before when you're saying you're aware of it? Why lie?
of the year, Will became a pastor for his church, but before that, he had rather a successful career in finance. And what he's proposed to try and settle the argument once and for all of
It won't settle anything. All it'll do potentially is debunk a globe if you don't see it, because it absolutely requires that you see it. Now, seeing it doesn't affirm the consequent. That is to say, it doesn't prove that your antipodal assumption's true. Yeah? You'd still have to back that. But it would need to be there. In other words, if it isn't, you debunk a globe. Because it absolutely must be there for your model that you assume is true when you say, I've arrived antipodal in Antarctica. Otherwise, you'd be using the northern sun. You're not, because you need to assume antipodal positioning.
if the Earth is flat or a globe, is to pay for two people.
That's a false dichotomy fallacy. Wow, you're stupid.
One from either side of the argument, to go to Antarctica, primarily to see if there is a 24-hour sun or not. This point of a 24-hour sun has been a key difference between flat and globe models.
Right, we don't live on a model. Yeah, your model requires this to be true. I don't have a model. What are you talking about? Yeah, I don't assume anything in regards to the maps that are all flat and how they've been developed with flat Earth angle measurements to the stars, right? Triangles, McKeegan. Yeah, we don't need models to reify in false dichotomy with affirming the consequent to prove either one. That's nonsense.
Now, on the globe, due to the tilt of the Earth,
Tilt of the Earth is described with respect to a horizontal plane of reference. It's an axis. You'll need, mathematically, a horizontal plane to describe this tilt from. Mathematically, in your model. Straight away, first words out your mouth about your model. Require a flat plane.
it experiences periods where the sun doesn't set around both north and south poles. And these periods of 24-hour suns occur in the summers of the respective hemispheres.
Right, hemispheres? Oh, so that would be the begging the question, I assume that we're on half a sphere. That's assuming the outcome. Stacking it up in false dichotomy so no one notices that you're automatically assumed by saying, I'm comparing ball model with flat earth model. No. What you're actually doing is assuming your outcome when you say, if we're on a ball, by assumption at the beginning of the process. Are you guys really this dumb? Yeah, Dave definitely is.
Now, on a flat Earth, it's pretty easy to explain a 24-hour sun around the North Pole because
Sorry, why would we be suggesting it with this garbage? I mean, if you listen to Adam Meakin, he's suggesting 2 suns with a Chinook helicopter. If you listen to Brian, he's suggesting Antarctica's got its own sun. And there's all sorts of garbage out there. Yeah? So let's just ignore all of them because none of them have been validated and nobody's postulating that this is how the world works in this corner of the woods. If you've got some individual flat earthers with their globe projected models, then that's a big problem. You need to actually put a flat earth model against this if you're going to put it in false dichotomy.
Because the sun is just circling closer to the middle.
Is it? How did you get the height? How do you know how far it is? What is the sun? Oh, right, these questions would need to be answered before we'd have a validated model to actually postulate. Yeah? But it wouldn't be done in false dichotomy with an affirming the consequent fallacy. That's for damn sure. That's not how you confirm models.
But a 24-hour sun in Antarctica presents major issues. Because...
Sorry? Why? It presents issues for this globe projection. So this globe projection fails? Yeah. That's all it does. If you see it, then this model in the false dichotomy would fail. Yeah. So Dave Weiss, your crappy model's under threat, mate. Your crappy claim to be flat earth model is the thing under threat. Not flat earth. Go ahead, Matthias. Or are you just hot micing?
Because if I'm standing in one part of Antarctica, at some point during a 24-hour period, the sun would be on the complete opposite side of Earth, and yet somehow still visible.
In that model. Have you validated this model? Who's suggesting this model? Are you aware that this is a globe projection? I mean, what the hell?
But there would be a period of complete nighttime in...
Right, I am going to put a kibosh on this immediately. Right? If you're going to put a false dichotomy on the table, I want a flat earth model to be representing flat earth. This is a globe projection. Right? Now, maybe Brian's righteous in his kicking up a fuss about getting pitch data. Well, okay, fine, if Brian can do it too, and Adam can buy into the affirming the consequent fallacy with his Chinook helicopter, I can buy into the fallacy too. No worries, I'll go along. Where's the flat earth model? This is a globe projection. Why are you telling us how a globe projection fails? So this globe projection fails, Dave. Okay? Let's get that clear. You're telling us how a globe projection fails. If you're going to tell me how a flat earth model fails, it better be a flat earth model, not a globe projection. Because that sounds like a massive fail for the globe if it's a globe projection. Where's the flat earth model? It's yet to be shown.
a part of the Earth directly between myself and the sun.
On your globe projection.
Not only that, but the ground position of the sun never goes...
Like ground position? What's that? Anybody tell me what a ground position is, please?
How's he going to get that on his globe?
What is a ground position was the question.
Position on Earth where the sun is directly above. In a
What,
zenith.
90 degrees to it at its zenith? Like you'd measure along a plane with an angle, like triangles McKeegan pointed out, that wouldn't work on a globe. To have a ground position that's useful in mapping, you're going to need to measure it with respect to a flat plane. That's what it is. It's 90 degrees to your position, Dave. So we're straight into talking about how fundamental aspects of the description of the ground with ground positions will only work on a flat plane. That's it. We're done. That's the end of this. We've just confirmed flat Earth is required for ground positions.
Goes further
But why
south.
are we always giving
than
him
the
it?
I'm not. Dave, you just proved a flat
Let
Earth
them-
with ground positions. Not giving you jack. I'm telling you that you're stacking up a globe projection against another globe projection and then using flat Earth measurements for the journey and the description. You've just described a ground position. Got a whirly whirl. Sorry. Wow. 80 quid a month I pay for internet.
Tropic of Capricorn, which is around 23.5 degrees south of the equator.
Right, degrees south? Degrees? You're going to need a flat Earth for those measurements. You're describing positional data with respect to lines on the ground, latitude lines, that are measured with respect to a flat plane, their altitude angles to Polaris. When you describe a positional piece of information, you will absolutely unequivocally require a flat Earth to describe it. We haven't even left for Antarctica yet. We're not even into the description, finishing, of what's happening with the false dichotomy with the globe projections. But what's being described? Well, we're describing angle measurements off a flat plane. You've already proven a flat Earth. We haven't even set off yet, Dave.
So, for an observer standing in Antarctica, even if the sun were to remain visible in the sky at all times, it should always be to the north of the observer, between around...
Why? Because that model suggests that. This globe projection suggests that. So, okay, no worries. Well, if it doesn't do that, this globe projection's wrong. Okay? How is that debunking a flat Earth when it's not a flat Earth map? Did you not know that this was a globe projection? You should know. Now, all of the descriptions that are actually going to be capable of measurement, like positional data with respect to latitude, that will be measured flat. It is flat. It can only be measured flat. It's a triangle, isn't it, Dave? So it can't work on a globe, end quote, Dave.
Northeast to northwest. It should never reach even directly east or west of the observer.
So what's east and what's west? Anybody care to fill me in what these directions are? Are these directions globe directions? Or are they with respect to a horizontal plane of reference? Anybody care to tell me if this is a flat Earth proving direction that he's using? East is flat. North is flat. South is flat. West is flat. They're all flat, Dave.
Not if you're in the center of a globe, it's not.
So we're not operating compasses from the center of a sphere, which is how it would function if you're using the equatorial plane to get the angles that you'll use that Dave's already described to work on a flat plane. Nobody's in hell. Meanwhile, directions are flat. So that's the second. That's two so far. We've got altitude, angles, and directions, all flat so far.
Much less appearing towards the south for the observer. So, this obviously should be a pretty surefire way to show whether we live on a globe or on a...
No, it's only a surefire way to debunk a globe. If it doesn't happen, then your globe model fails completely. Yeah? As for your false dichotomy, oh, well, does it work on this globe projection that happens to be flat? Who cares? It's not a flat Earth map. You're going to need one of them, because I'm going to be kicking up a Ferrari if you don't actually assess the flat Earth. If you're just going to put globe projections on it, this is a wanking competition. That's all this is.
Flat Earth. And it's even been a point that many prominent flat earthers have previously brought up as an easy way to tell the difference.
Depending how far south the observer is, the sun should be seen for several days or weeks, never fully setting, just like it does in the north. In reality, however, there is...
Yeah, for a globe, it should always be above the horizon. That's a prerequisite that must be fulfilled for your globe model to have a chance of being considered as real. It still affirms the consequent. If we have 24-hour sun, then my antipodal assumption stands. So it doesn't make any difference. It will debunk a globe. It doesn't prove or debunk flat. Furthermore, all of the directional information that you're using so far, Dave, requires Earth to be flat.
There is never 24-hour sunlight anywhere in Antarctica at any time of year.
Now, let's say we are trying to prove the globe or trying to prove it's flat. Should be very, very easy, right? I mean, on a globe, we would have a 24-hour sun in the southern summer.
Yes, on a globe, when you assume it on their behalf, Jaron. So when I'm pointing out to my audience that the antipodal assumption is what they need to affirm the consequent, you're doing it for them. On a globe, that's begging the question for them, Jaron.
That means that the sun would circle the continent.
No, it means that you've begged the question of what a globe would do. And now you're trying to confirm whether or not your assumption of antipodal positioning will pad out based on, what, a false dichotomy? No, false dichotomies and affirming the consequence don't back up begging the question fallacies. This is just a cluster screw.
That's quite different from the flat Earth model where the sun circles the entire Earth from above, and since Antarctica is around the outside...
Come again? Sorry, when did Jaren validate that Antarctica's around the outside because it's presented on the outside of a globe projection? Sorry, did Jaren validate this? Did Jaren present a map that's been shown to be verified by measurements? No? It's just Jaren and his stupid numpty assumption then. What a Burke. You're begging the question
He's
for him,
a
Jaren.
prominent flat earther.
Begging the question on their behalf.
Well, that doesn't include a circling sun. At least not around you at the bottom continent.
Well, on the globe projection that they're putting up in false dichotomy, Jaren, it doesn't work on that model. Yeah, that's all that means. It means you don't know what the sun is.
Mentioned the sun, right? Like the idea is, yeah, if you see the sun in the sky.
So what a shock. All the people we object to are in line to affirm the consequent, beg the question, and use globe projections. Dave, Whitsitt, Jaren, Eric DeBay I've had no contact with. I don't really have any beef with Eric DeBay. Does anybody have any beef with Eric DeBay beyond this very small section that he's used from a 10-year-old video?
No, that's what I was going to say. That's an old video. And listen, call them by their right names. Mo, Larry, and Scurvy. They're going to do very well together.
That's what the globe predicts, and how would the flat Earth explain that? But that's not what happens.
One of it's not up to me to explain something if somebody's got a positive claim for it. If someone says, well, on my globe model that I reify, I assume if I travel to the bottom of the globe by assumption, I'll see a 24-hour sun. Yeah, you must, if you're going to assume that reification fallacy by way of affirming the consequent. I don't have to do that. It doesn't debunk anything. I don't have to assume a damn thing. I can point out how Earth's measured and leave it at that. Well, you've still got to explain the sun. No. In the words of Whitsitt, falsification is independent of replacement. Well, it seems Whitsitt doesn't stand by his own garbage. Because apparently we need to explain it now, do we? No, we don't. The absolutely mystifying world that is left before us after being lied to about what it does doesn't mean that I've suddenly got every answer. But I do know, without doubt, that it's flat, Dave. Because that's how it's measured. Not it could be a really big ball, I'm a true earther. What the hell are you even doing involved in this discussion? True earthers.
One of the arguments that people give is on a flat earth, you can't have a 24-hour sun. I mean,
what flat earthers? You give it. You've said it. Bloody coward. Take ownership of your stupid crap. Don't ascribe it to the rest of the community you're not a part of anymore. Mr. True Earther, it could be a big ball. Don't speak for me.
Midnight sun in Antarctica, and I totally agree.
You totally agree. Well, then that's you as one man.
But there is no midnight sun in Antarctica.
All right, because you've been down there, have you, Dave? And if there was, would that do anything for your flat Earth model? No, it would absolutely annihilate your globe projection you've been lying about being a flat Earth model for about 5 years. That's what it would destroy. Your reified globe projection that you tell people is a flat Earth model that you haven't made, you haven't created, you just found on the internet and have decided that's what the bleeding world is. And Jaren's decided that means there's an ice wall. These people are thick. Why are they representing us? Well, because they've cherry-picked the most stupid ones amongst us, haven't they? The ones that'll reify it and go into the false dichotomy head-on without even recognising the fallacy. That's who they've picked. The idiots.
You go to Antarctica.
So hold on, the Globers are not as stupid as we think they are. They cherry-picked them. You're right about that.
Yeah, cherry-pick the ones that coincidentally, or interestingly, have affirmed that it's a ball on Netflix once previously. Those are the best candidates, are they? These dicks that did a terrible job of representing us with false claims of experimentation last time. Jaren's a fraud. He's a scammer. Telling people he's got experiments when he fires lasers. God doesn't know what science is, but here he is again representing us.
Spend a week there in the summer, and let's see if the sun does a 360-degree circle all the way around us. If so, it's a ball. But if the sun comes in this...
If so, it's a ball. So what's the sun? You got an accurate map of how that positional data works with respect to anything other than time or latitude with Polaris? Because that's how the system actually functions when we measure these things flat. Those systems are not dependent on there being a 24-hour sun or not in Antarctica. It makes absolutely no difference.
This way and then leaves that way, then it's not. It is what we say it is.
However, they'd usually then follow that up with claims.
Is this preamble purely here to say, look, here's some numpty idiot flat earthers who don't know their ass from their elbow, affirming our bias when it comes to this fallacy of affirming the consequent? They can buy into our reification and begging the question fallacy. So they say this and that matters now. No. You just need to actually present this as an argument. Yeah? How does it prove or disprove anything? Not what flat earthers have said. This isn't about what Jaron or Dave or Eric say.
Along the lines of saying that the public aren't allowed to go.
Right, who cares? Right, where's the measurements? How does this prove that it is or isn't a globe? Just lay it out for us. What's the method? What's the form of the claim? Give us that. Not what Jaron and Eric and Dave say. Who cares what Dean Odell's got to say? How does it prove your claim? For you to validate or find worthy travelling thousands of miles? Is it based on what Dave said? That you'll travel thousands of miles, you complete Burke?
Go and freely explore Antarctica, and that people aren't allowed to go any further than about 60 degrees south latitude.
Degrees? What, like measured with respect to a horizontal plane? There you are using flat earth references again, taken from flat earth measurements again. But yet we're not hearing about the methodology that's going to prove or disprove a globe beyond what Dave thinks. He's not even a flat earther, he's a true earther. So who cares what Dave thinks, who cares what Dean thinks?
Which would then make it impossible to test whether there's a 24-hour sun.
Having just measured your position with respect to a flat plane? Well, it would prove Earth's being measured and described by you as flat. Obviously, we can't have triangles on a globe.
And the videos which we already have from people who've been to Antarctica and filmed the 24-hour sun get dismissed as fake.
Because they've got a load of edits in them. What else do you want us to do? All right, okay, well, we can see that these clouds repeat. But that's okay. No, that's not really evidence of anything. Furthermore, they've got internet down there. I've seen TikTok videos from Antarctica. They've got Google Hangouts too. There's like a 200-hour limit on them. Just get them to bosh one in. Get someone to go in every couple of, 15 minutes and just move it a little bit. All day. Do it today. I know there's not a 24-hour sun today. I'm just saying it to be facetious and make my point.
So, Will's aim with the final experiment is to send a person from either side to...
So that you can stack up your false dichotomy and affirm the consequent by begging the question and assuming antipodal positioning with a justification that it's my model versus their model. If we drop our model, what does your claim become? If I assume I'm on the bottom of a ball when I arrive in Antarctica, then X. Doesn't matter what the X is. If I assume I'm on the bottom of the ball in Antarctica, then I'll see penguins. I do see penguins. Therefore, I'm on the bottom of a ball. No.
To go and observe and document what the sun does in Antarctica during summer there. And obviously, having one from either side allows the results to be...
It allows you to beg the question, affirm the consequent, and use it in false dichotomy to get away with no one noticing that you've just begged the question to use and affirming the consequent. That's what it does, Dave. Us with a mild degree of intellect know this. I mean, Jaron knows this. I've took him through it explicitly via Skype in excruciating detail, and he's confirmed he understands this, affirming the consequent fallacy that you're now using when you describe the false dichotomy of our model versus their model.
Kept honest. And Will off...
Oh, so it's just to keep people honest. Well, honest Jaron. Interesting.
Offered the place for the pro-globe side to myself, and I gladly accepted. So...
And did you do anything to confirm the antipodal positioning assumption, Dave? How are you going to confirm that? It's just you're down there representing, begging the question of being on the bottom of a ball, are you? You're there to say, yeah, I assume I'm on the bottom of a ball. That's what I'm here for.
Well, my aim for all of this is obviously first and foremost to document what the sun does and
why. So we'll learn what the sun does. Okay, so we've got one little piece of information. We're going to find out what the sun does in Antarctica. Oh, good. Because...
assuming that it behaves the way we'd expect to see.
Assuming that you're on the bottom of a ball, Dave. It's very good that you've actually detailed the assumption now. First that I've heard anybody from your side doing that. Well done. So we're going to need to be assuming that we're on the bottom of a ball then, Dave? No, that won't fly. You don't assume your outcome and then call it an experiment. That's called begging the question. So the assumption that you're on the bottom of a ball would be exactly that. You assuming the very thing you're trying to prove.
Based on a globe, I also aim to try and cover off as many of the flat earth excuses that I can think of.
Right, flat earth excuses, this isn't our claim. We don't need to replace it with an excuse, just debunk it. By pointing out the fallacious reasoning used behind it, you've just done it for me. You assume that you'll arrive on the bottom of a ball, don't you, Dave?
For example, I've already seen some people question how would we know that we're actually in Antarctica?
Now, how would you know you're on the bottom of a ball, Dave? Are these people really this stupid? How would I know I'm in Antarctica? Well, given that you've paid 40 grand and that's where they're saying they're going to take you, and your expectation is ice walls, penguins, then you'd just hope that you'd know instinctually that you're in the place that they're telling you. I mean, maybe take a compass and reference the flat plane with an angle measurement to one of the stars for positional information in the almanac. You could verify your position with this method on screen, with the sun. There's all sorts of ways you can verify you're in Antarctica, no worries. It's a mapped territory. It's on the maps. Meanwhile, there are no globe-shaped maps. They're all flat. So, in my mind, the thing that you detailed 30 seconds ago about assuming you're on a ball, that would be the thing you'd need to verify, because that's part of the fallacy you're employing, Dave. The assumption of antipodal positioning is the thing you need to verify, not that you're in Antarctica when it's on maps.
Introducing the first Dell Copilot.
Right, I'll take a breather there, get a few buttons pressed, talk amongst yourselves. We'll start in about 5 minutes.
Are you happy now, Neil?
Yeah, get Nathan nice and warmed up. I'll tell you what, man. This is very annoying to me.
I'm
Well,
sure
Dave
compasses
Triangles, he's
don't
the
work very
worst.
well in the South Pole, in the Antarctic.
What was that?
I said compasses don't work very well in the Antarctic.
I don't know. I never been there.
Good point.
Have people been there and have problems with the compasses?
Yeah, I think they have what's called a declination, where they have to adjust it because it doesn't work properly.
Is anyone
What does
else
it do?
annoyed
Just
though?
start... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, is anyone else annoyed that, like, we've got these, these idiots, really, and these are the forefront fathers, like of flat Earth. These are the people representing, or when we come under the same banner, right? Because when you tell people that, and when they look at this is what they're coming up against, and then we're sitting there thinking, what?
No, because I said a long time ago, we're on our own here. You got everybody else, and then you have us.
Good morning, folks.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning. Good to have you all.
How are you?
Very well. Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle measurement, like for latitude, describing how many degrees you are with respect to a flat plane and things like that? Any evidence you can acquire that elevation angle measurement from a curved surface?
No. And that's why I'm getting annoyed, because they're telling us about degrees and angles, but I want them to do it on their freaking sphere, not on the flat Earth.
Oh, they can't. To get down to Antarctica, they must require a flat Earth and elevation angles to have been derived to create the globe model, to then project it back out onto a cylinder and then roll it out flat to actually have it be useful and usable with the angles to the stars that are used to navigate their way down to Antarctica when they assume antipodal positioning.
So then what's the point in the trip then?
There isn't one. The point of the trip is to say, look, these flat earthers are quite happy to beg the question of antipodal positioning. And if they are happy for us to say, I'm on a globe if I'm in Antarctica, and if we show something that doesn't work on Dave Weiss's globe projection he calls a flat Earth model, then Earth's a globe. Now, Brian pointed it out quite beautifully yesterday. It doesn't prove or disprove flat. It doesn't prove globe, because the globe has come from measurements of a flat plane to infer it mathematically. What it does do is debunk the reification of a globe by way of assumption that you will see, and must see, the sun above the horizon for 24 hours in the Antarctic summer, our winter, in the north. Now, that antipodal assumption can only be broken. It can't prove a globe, it can't disprove a flat Earth, and it cannot prove a flat Earth either. If it did happen to match Dave Weiss's globe projection passed off fraudulently as a flat Earth model, which it is not, then all it would do is affirm that the model's a reasonable match for something we have no idea about, which is the sun. We know where it is in respect to its ground position when measured flat. That's what use we have got out of it so far. Where it is above at a given time is useful for a system. Time! That's it. All flat Earth measurements. None of the actual process is being detailed beyond, for Dave McKeegan, the assumption of sphericity when arriving in Antarctica. Dave's the first to have said it. He said it in the pre-show. If you want to hear the preamble for this coverage of Dave McKeegan's very boring, very tedious, affirming the consequent, begging the question, false dichotomy fallacy that is Antarctica and his trip down there, then you'll have to become a member and watch it in the pre-show. We will continue to cover it throughout this live show. And it is very, very tedious.
Script that Will's just throwing together, where we're just going to get dumped in the middle of nowhere by ourselves.
Currently, he's questioning whether or not he's going to arrive in the place on the map that they negotiated flat to get there. He's saying, well, we won't even know if we're in Antarctica, given that we've paid 40 grand to get to Antarctica and used flat maps and flat methods and flat systems to get here. It's whether or not we're in Antarctica that matters. No, it's whether or not you've traversed a ball and arrived antipodal that matters in this particular setting.
Will is actually just buying tickets for an annual excursion to Antarctica, which is organised by a company called ALE, or Antarctic Logistics and Expeditions. They have their own planes which fly from Punta Arenas in...
Yeah, so it's a logistics company. So primarily what they're involved in is the logistics of moving stuff from A to B. So Brian's request for pitch data is absolutely valid. Yeah, that's what we're going to need. Because that is assumed by you currently. That when you take off in this aeroplane, you're going to somehow arrive on the bottom of a ball. Well, we're going to need to validate that, and Brian's asking for pitch data. So he better give it us. Otherwise, it's a completely pointless exercise.
Southern Chile, and the expedition that will be on stays at their camp in Union Glacier, which is around 80 degrees south.
Right, degrees? What, like an angle measurement off a flat Earth, Dave? No triangles on a ball, remember, Dave? Yeah? You can't get elevation angles on a ball, Dave. You made it explicitly clear. So what, you're just going to use a little bit of flat Earth to decide whether or not you're in Antarctica? Yeah, you will, yeah. Obviously, when you're assessing whether or not you're in antipodal positioning, won't be assessed when you're describing angles off a plane.
Latitude. We'll be there for...
Sorry, latitude, Dave? What, the one you can't get on a ball, Dave? The one that's measured flat with angles, Dave? Yeah.
From the 14th to the 18th of December. So the first step for me will obviously be getting from the UK to Punta Arenas.
On a flat map. With a straight line on a flat map, Dave. Sorry, why is it that we're using this? Is it just me, or is this exactly as I just described with respect to the Mercator projection? I described how you'd measure latitude lines, put them on a ball, project them onto a cylinder, and then roll them out flat to get there. And what do you know? Dave's shown us exactly that. Why aren't we showing this on a ball, Dave? Why are we viewing a Mercator projection? What's going on?
From the UK to Punta Arenas.
On a flat map. Okay, game over. You're not negotiating a ball to get there. That's it. You've negotiated it flat.
To meet up with ALE. However, there are no direct flights for that. All the flights that I've seen so far fly from the UK to Chile's major airport in Santiago and would then require a short connection flight to Punta Arenas.
Who cares? All we need is the pitch data. That's it.
Before heading to Antarctica, and then doing the whole thing again in reverse for getting home. And ALE suggests that we book our personal flights to and from Chile to be 2 to 3 days either side of the expedition date, just to avoid any risks of potentially missing flights. So that...
Why would they potentially miss flights? Aren't they running the plane? Okay, fine. 40 grand? You want me to have a 3-day connection either side? What?
That would mean arriving and staying in Chile 2 days before and after the flights.
Wow, that's amazing. Really good job you clarified that for us.
To and from Antarctica. So we'd be in no doubt that we will be setting off with ALE from southern Chile. Now, a compass on the plane will tell us if we're
using it with respect to a flat plane. That's how compasses work. So again, we're going to use a flat earth tool. Okay, well, that's the end of it. You're using a flat earth tool for direction.
Flying south.
South with respect to a plane. Yeah, not south on a ball. It doesn't work that way. Yeah? It would work from hell on a plane to describe it with respect to a ball. You utilise the Mercator projection for that very purpose.
But there's nowhere other than Antarctica.
Here we go. Flat map. Flat earth. What's this grid, Dave? Because we can't get the triangles off the ball, can we, Dave? How'd you get this grid? You measured it flat. And that's how you're going to be negotiating your way down there. It's game over. It's already done. Yeah? You're using a grid system and describing angles for positional data that can only work on a flat earth. So before you've set off, you've proved it's flat already, Dave. Well done.
Near southern Chile that is completely snow and ice. The nearest other possibility that I can think of would be Greenland, and that's 8,000 miles to the north.
With respect to a plane? Yeah?
Getting there would involve roughly...
It would involve negotiating a flat earth and dealing with grid lines on maps that are measured with respect to angles to stars off a flat earth. That's what it would involve. You just need a little bit of flat earth to get you there, right? Then you can start tossing up in the air your two models in full dichotomy. So long as you got there with respect to a plane, you and your tossers can figure that out, can you, when you're there? So long as you're there saying, well, I'm assuming I'm on the bottom of a ball right now. I mean, it's been negotiated flat when we got here, but now we're here, I'm on the bottom of a ball.
A 14.5-hour flight that would go over the whole of South America and the North Atlantic without any of us actually noticing, and then arriving in Greenland in December.
Thought Eli was about to join, and he's just dropped immediately before I could let him in. Oh well.
When it's mostly in darkness due to that being the winter in the Northern Hemisphere. Some people have then argued that a 24-hour sun wouldn't actually prove anything because we can't freely explore Antarctica.
No, because the claim that it will prove something comes with a begging the question fallacy attached, antipodal assumption, and an ignorance of all of the flat earth prerequisites you've just gone through.
Except you wouldn't need to. There is no location that far south on a flat Earth.
So you mean on Dave's fraudulent globe projection? Anybody else here claiming the azimuthal equidistant map is actually a flat Earth map as opposed to a globe projection? Does anybody else here feel that it's reasonable that this is being represented as a flat Earth map when it isn't? Anybody?
Not at all.
Nobody's agreeing with this. Literally nobody stands by this false dichotomy here. Nobody.
Which would allow for the sun to have its ground position.
If you've got 3 million subscribers and you say something on your channel that's wrong, illegal, or immoral, do all 3 million subscribers suddenly have that brush tarred on them because they're subscribed to you? That would be a consensus fallacy. So, when an individual who runs a channel that's very popular does something wrong, for example, Dr. Disrespect, chatting up children, well, that is him as an individual. And his subscriber base have got absolutely nothing to do with that. So, I would imagine that were his subscriber base to be quizzed on whether or not they should be involved in his horrible, horrible behaviour, they would say, no, that's absolutely not. It's him as an individual. But what these guys, these cretins, Will Duffy included, have done is taken individuals with large subscriber counts and gone because they've got large subscriber counts, that means that one man's word, Dave Weiss or Jaron, or that pastor that he used at the beginning of the video, whose name I forget, they are representative of... Dean Odell, yes. Are representative of all of their subscriber base. Why? I mean, I've just done a straw poll, probably bigger than you've done when you've asked one man or taken clips cherry-picked from one man on one channel that happens to have a lot of subscribers. But here and now, I've asked a whole bunch of flat earthers if anybody buys this, and literally not one does. So can we take it as read that this is a fine false dichotomy and a fine flat earth map that we're all behind? When one true earther who says it could be a big ball, shocking that Dave Weiss would be behind this in his app, when he's telling the audiences on his tour that it could be a big ball. Not a flat earther, true earther. This is crap. This doesn't represent us. It's not a flat earth map.
North of the observer, and yet appear in the south. Roaming around Antarctica is not going to change that. As long as there is one location in Antarctica that has a full 24-hour sun doing a 360-degree loop around us, that completely goes against the flat Earth concept.
It goes against the azimuthal equidistant globe projection. That's what you just had on screen. You're a liar, Dave. You're a scumbag. Why are you telling us that this is a flat Earth map, you liar? Please let Dave McKeegan know. You've been called out as a liar. You're telling your audience that you're going down there to compare in false dichotomy flat Earth versus globe, and then you keep putting globe projections up. You're a liar. Yeah? You're misrepresenting us. It's fraud. And I'm tired of it. Yeah? Nobody's asking me. They're ignoring me. Will Duffy hasn't given me the independent and dependent variable for his experiment when he contacted me personally. I responded and asked him for him. He didn't give him me. Okay? So that's what I'm saying. Meanwhile, I've got to just swallow that this globe projection, if it fails, means it's not flat. No. We're just dealing with liars like Dave who say they've got a flat Earth map to represent us, and they haven't. He's a liar. Let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me to call out you on your lies. Where's the flat Earth map that you said you're taking down there? Now, you seem to be using flat Earth concepts that can only be measured flat on globe projections. But the measurements they utilise prove it's flat, regardless of the distortions. But if you're going to suggest that you're going down with a false dichotomy flat Earth map in quotes, it better be one, you bleeding liar.
Concept. I've even seen people suggest that the sun appearing...
It's like saying, I'm going to race Ford versus Chevy. And what I'm going to put on the track is a Chevy and a Chevy. And I'm going to put a Ford wrap on it and tell you that it's your Ford that we're racing. hang on a second, underneath this wrap, it's a Chevy. It's just a Chevy versus a Chevy. Where's the Ford? Oh, well, this globe projection Chevy is basically a Ford. No, it's a Chevy. Where's the Ford? We're going to need a flat Earth map. Yeah? If you're saying it, Dave, because now your credibility's on the line, I'm calling you out as a scumbag, fraud, liar. You're going to go down there and represent us. You better have a flat Earth map. Get one. Get one from Dave. If this is what you got from him, flat Earth Dave, then Dave's part of the fraud too. He's fraudulently misrepresenting a globe projection as a flat Earth map. And I'm not having it. These people are frauds. They're scamming you. It's fraud.
In the south,
Nathan, just
could
so you
be
know,
a
they
reflection.
have provided a hypothesis now. Where's Wally? Is that correct, Neil, in the after show?
Who's Where's Wally?
After show last night.
Sorry, where's Duffy? Is it Where's Duffy that's provided it? Yeah, he did that in my comments. After I asked Will Duffy, Where's Wally came along and offered me one instead of Will Duffy. Thank you for reminding me. Your name's not Will Duffy. You're not spending 40 grand on other people to go down there. Where's Wally? You are a nobody. You think I'll give a toss what your hypothesis is? Well, then spend 40 grand, go down there, and I'll give a toss what you say about it. Meanwhile, you've given me that under Will Duffy's questioning of it. I asked Will Duffy for that. You replied. What are you, his bleeding secretary? Why is Where's Wally responding when I ask Will Duffy for a hypothesis? Is that how it works over there on the globe side? Is Where's Wally your secretary, Duffy? Seems to be speaking for you. I asked you for a hypothesis. It's been made blatantly public. Everybody's aware of what I've asked you for. So much so that your own side are having to come to your defence and white knight for you. In the absence of hypothesis that you haven't given me, Duffy. Yeah? Shall I take Wally's hypothesis, Duffy? Is he your secretary? Because it's pretty obvious to all of your comprades that I'm asking for this and you haven't given it us. They're fighting and scrambling to give it me, mate. Yeah, Wally's keen, but Duffy isn't. How telling is that? Very. Thanks, Wally. Yeah, nice little reminder that you're keen to give us a hypothesis. Right, son?
Reflection off the firmament. Well, reflections create mirror images. So to check...
Can't have that on a ball. I'm supposed to get a mirror image of anything that isn't flat.
For this, I'll be taking along a telephoto lens and a strong ND filter.
Because... yeah, you'll get to know what the sun does in Antarctica. You already told us. Oh, yeah, you'll be assuming you're on the bottom of a ball like you already told us. So what? You don't need anything. You just need to go down there and go, yeah, I definitely did do that. Okay? So it's still a your model that you can reify. You're still okay to reify it by antipodal assumption. Okay, well done, lads. What's that? You got some really good pictures of it too. Oh, wow. It'd be nice to have the pitch data and you not using flat Earth angles to get down there. Yeah? Not, oh, well, I'll use a flat Earth and a flat Earth grid system that's measured flat with angles that can only come off of a flat surface because they're triangles that won't work on a globe, says Dave.
This will allow me to cut out all of the glare and see the sunspots. This way
we can see sunspots that we could see from anywhere.
We can compare the orientation of the spots whilst the sun is in the north versus the south to see if they are being flipped at all.
Because when you turn around and look at something from a different orientation, the orientation changes. Well, that's fascinating. Wow.
Or if they shift at any point during the day.
Or wouldn't it be better to go and confirm that you're actually on a ball? Or are you just good with just assuming that before you set off? Oh, my bad. We already know. You did tell us, Dave. Thanks. No one else has actually verbalised that yet. But yeah, you're all cool just assuming the very thing you're trying to prove before you set off. Because you're there representing, right, Dave? You clown. Yeah? You people are thick. Not spotting this makes you stupid. Being there to, quote, represent just means you're a stooge for Duffy to beg the question for him. You are there as Mr. Assumption. That's your place there, Dave. Used and abused for being stupid, not recognising the fallacious logic being employed when you, as a stooge, say, I'm all good assuming I'm on the bottom of a ball when I arrive, having measured it flat, and openly told audiences that these angle descriptions, these triangles, can't work on a globe. So you're getting down there flat as a stooge to assume it's a ball for the person who's claiming it's an experiment, who can't answer any questions, but white knights have to do it for him. This is pathetic.
This will also open up the possibility for other people in different parts of the world to do the same thing and compare how the spots appear in different parts of the world.
Really? See, when I did it with solar noon and sunrise and sunset, like 90 degrees to your position and solar zenith. And I tracked the sun over 2 24-hour periods via a hangout. What you're inviting, well, you could do it too. Well, how are you going to know it's done at the exact same time? Unless you do it live like I did it when I tracked the sun. I mean, even then, when I had absolutely no clue what I was doing, I had a better methodology than these numpties.
I.e., if someone in North America and someone in Australia view the...
When we tracked the sun, I absolutely unequivocally made no claims whatsoever that it would prove a flat Earth. We just wanted to know what the sun did. We tracked it on a globe projection, the azimuthal equidistant projection, otherwise known as the as-it-is map. But it wasn't proving or disproving anything. Now, why is it that when we track the sun, we go, that's interesting, let's see where it is on the map, and whether or not its GP position matches where they say it does on the map? That was our purpose in doing it. No one was going, if we see a 24-hour sun in the north, it proves a flat Earth. No, because we're not that stupid. We just wanted to know what the sun was doing and start tallying it up with what the maps say. And we found that they were wrong. We've already invalidated the maps you're using 10 years ago. 10 years ago! We invalidated this global projection. 10 years! You're still using it? You'd think, given that you're going to go and look at a 24-hour sun, that you'd have investigated what we already acquired in respect to a 24-hour sun. We've already done it! Did you not look at any of that stuff? Did you not see the value when we did it 10 years ago? Didn't even need to leave my armchair. Didn't need to go anywhere to capture it. Yeah, because everyone's got internet like they have now in Antarctica to send TikTok videos to everyone with. They've obviously got internet down there. So why haven't we got it already? Why have we just got edited videos? Well, because we need Dave the Clown to affirm the consequent by being the stooge that assumes we're antipodal when we arrive there. That's what we're doing. This is sad. Very sad. You're going to need a better map. Like I've said, you've got requests coming in thick and fast. We're going to need pitch data for the logistics of getting there. And we're going to need a different map. If you're going to hold this up in false dichotomy, I mean, obviously, even if you did get a better map, we'd be pointing out it's a false dichotomy still. Nevertheless, this is an outrage. You're using a debunked globe projection. How is it debunked? By tracking the sun! So you better pay attention. We've already tracked the sun. We've seen it above the horizon for 24 hours. We've seen it. We've done it. We did it 10 years ago. So prick your ears up. Why aren't you taking into account any of this? No, the map that's been debunked based on sun positional data by us is still being used. So it's a globe projection that's debunked and you're still using it for sun tracking when we used it for sun tracking and debunked it with it. No, this is definitely not going to fly. Definitely flawed.
Sunspots around the same time. On a globe, we'd expect to see the spots in North America rotated.
Right, on a globe. So when Stooge Dave assumes the antipodal positioning he's purposed and tasked in assuming, then you're assuming antipodal positioning. That's the thing you're trying to prove. You're begging the question. It invalidates the entire process. You're supposed to be proving it, not assuming it, Dave. Do you not understand good logic? Obviously not.
Around 180 degrees compared to those viewing in the southern hemisphere. Similar to how
a southern hemisphere, as in the assumption of antipodal positioning. Yeah, this is where you're coming into your own, Dave, as a stooge, to beg the question on Duffy's behalf. Well done, useful idiot. Good job.
The moon's orientation changes. Now, clouds could potentially obscure the views of the sunspots. However, if this does happen, even with moderate cloud, this ND filter will still allow us to get a clear view of the sun itself, so we can observe if its size changes at any point whilst in different directions.
Who cares? What will that prove? Or disprove? Oh no, we're into a new fallacy. Dave's making it up as he goes along.
On a flat Earth, we'd expect the size of the sun to vary.
And there it is. A new false dichotomy invented on the fly by Dave about the size of the sun. In false dichotomy, your model versus our model. We've been asking for about 6 years for evidence of the distance to the sun. Now, these things are not proven. We don't know what it is. But Dave's got it back stacked up in a nice packaged up false dichotomy with a model that's been debunked that Dave says the sun moves over.
Vary as it moves towards and away from us, whereas on a globe we'd expect
you two beg the question that we're antipodal in this false dichotomy. This is the real trick that's being employed here. If you don't notice that, oh, it's perfectly fair because it's your model versus me assuming antipodal positioning, therefore fair. No, that's a false dichotomy. It's an affirming the consequent fallacy. If P, then Q, Q, therefore P. If I assume antipodal positioning, like Dave is there to do as the stooge is, then we will observe 24-hour sun in Antarctica. We observe 24-hour sun in Antarctica, therefore Dave's purpose of being a stooge to assume antipodal positioning and simultaneously detail the flat Earth elevation angle measurements and positioning data that he uses to get there is going to be confirmed, and therefore it's been a fair crack of the whip for the flat Earth. We put your model up that Dave says is true, even though it's a globe projection that's been debunked 10 years ago. Therefore, you got a fair crack of the whip. Our antipodal assumption stands true. This is your standards, Globe. This'll do it for you, won't it, Dave?
To remain a pretty consistent size throughout the day. There has obviously also been suggestions that any videos that we do take and present showing a 24-hour sun will have been faked in some way.
Shouldn't give a crap. Don't care if you see it either way. We need good logic behind it. We need data that shows that you've actually traversed a spherical surface to arrive antipodal when you assume it, Dave, as a stooge. Now, you don't know your position in this little stooge charade, but I do, because I can unpack the fallacy, therefore figure out where you sit in it. You're sat in this fallacy to beg the question of antipodal assumptions. That's what your job is, Dave. All you need to do is go, yeah, I assume that I'm on the bottom of the globe that the triangles won't work on. That's all you got to do, Dave. That's your place in this. Know your place, Dumbo.
Wait. Some have obviously said CGI. Others have even suggested that
Some have suggested we couldn't give a crap. Like, we'll just claim it's a Chinook helicopter, 2 sun systems, or individualistic sun for Antarctica. I mean, we're not confirming that by seeing a 24-hour sun, but we can beg the question and affirm the consequent too. We can make up all sorts. I did it with penguins earlier, didn't I, Dave?
Just record a 24-hour sun in advance from the northern hemisphere. I
already done it. Yeah, I didn't suggest in any way, shape or form it proved or disproved anything. What it did actually disprove, not that we knew it would do this when we were taking part in it, was the map that you're using, the azimuthal equidistant projection, does not match with the sun's GP positions. I can confirm that. We confirmed it twice.
i.e. that right about now, someone is taking footage of the 24-hour sun in the Arctic.
What, like we did a 10-year period ago? Yeah, we did. We couldn't extrapolate any flat Earth proof, or I wouldn't have continued for 10 years. I'd have drawn the line there. If it proved anything, it didn't. But what, 10 years down the line it does? For the south? Hold on, 24-hour sun doesn't prove anything. How does it suddenly prove if we go south? Oh, because Dave the Stooge assumes we're on the bottom of a ball when we get there.
And that will then apparently try and pass that off as the footage from Antarctica.
No, I'm not saying you're trying to pass anything off, Dave.
Antarctica. So to combat that, I've had a few ideas. Red's rhetoric.
So to overcome this straw man I've invented, I've come up with some ideas. Well, good for you, Dave. You don't seem to understand your place. You just need to be the stooge that says, yes, I assume I'm on the bottom of a ball. I assume the outcome we're trying to prove before we set off. That's all you need to do, bless your little cotton socks. Do you not know your stooge position in this fallacy? You just need to say, "Ah, yes, I assume I'm on the bottom of a ball when we arrive. I'm already dangling on the bottom of it. Now let's start looking at stuff. Oh, look, there's the penguins I needed to see to affirm that I'm on the bottom of a ball, I've assumed. So therefore, if P, antipodal assumption, then Q, penguins. And there are the penguins, we've seen them. Therefore, my antipodal assumption, stooge position, is validated. Because of the penguins.
Rick has suggested taking an Insta360 camera, which will allow for a single 360-degree view to be captured so we can see everything in all directions.
Because that will affirm the consequent of antipodal positioning, will it? Will a 360 camera validate the antipodal assumption that you're there to stooge for? I'm thinking no, Dave. What I like about this is somebody recognises what useful idiots the people taking part in, like they did with Netflix. They assessed all the individuals and went, who is the most useful of these idiots? Well, Jaren is. Well, Bob is. Well, Dave McKeegan is. These are very useful idiots. Now, they don't know they're a useful idiot when they make the antipodal assumption needed to be made by Duffy. That I'll point this out. Duffy hasn't said it yet. I asked him for his hypothesis, knowing, like I got from Wally, that actually it's an affirming the consequent fallacy and not a hypothesis. But the useful idiots don't recognise that. That's why they use them. You, Dave, are useful to beg the question of the very thing you're trying to prove. That's all you need to do, bless your little cotton socks. You're a useful idiot.
I also plan on setting up at some point another camera that would have a view of the 360 camera.
Wow. I suggest, now it's just an idea, maybe a third camera? Maybe a camera that's 360 and a camera filming the 360 camera, but also a third camera filming your dumbass while you make an antipodal assumption.
So that we can be seen being near the 360 camera,
begging the question of being antipodal. Right, I've had enough of that. I'm bored. It was tedious, as was suggested. We've covered it for at least a good enough period for people to get the idea of what's actually taking part. We don't need any more of Dave McKeegan's boring video unless someone says there's something really groundbreaking in the second half of his video. I highly doubt it.
Can we give it a while before we have to listen to him again?
I hate covering that. It is boring. He is boring, and he is stupid. Like I say, not recognising how you're being used as a stooge just makes me sigh. You're like, oh. Of course, you're going to be the most popular of all, aren't you? With you being the most useful of the useful idiots. So he's propped up probably more than most of them. I don't actually know. Either way, like I say, I can only grin at knowing how useful an idiot he is. And our own side. Yeah? Let's stop taking it so seriously. Yeah, Jaren, you're a useful idiot, mate. Well done for putting yourself in that position. Well done. Yeah? You've been propped up and promoted to a point where you can assume antipodal positioning just like Dave McKeegan. You are as useful an idiot as Dave McKeegan. Well done. Yeah, we know what it is. We've identified the fallacy. We've identified the main stooges who need to beg the question for Duffy. Duffy's been highlighted as using a map in false dichotomy that was debunked 10 years ago. That's not a flat Earth map. This is a cluster screw of epic proportions.
Well, he claims that we're running. We're running for cover.
We're covering it. We're covering it and detailing the fallacies. I asked Will Duffy directly for his hypothesis and he hasn't given it me, and they're suggesting we're running. Now, proactively asked Duffy for his experimental validation that he'd be offering, because he's called it an experiment. It's a hypothesis, actualization, otherwise known as experiment. That's what it's titled. Where is it? Oh, maybe I'll get it from one of his numpty secretaries. What's the words I'm looking for when we have somebody defending Duffy in the comments when he's asked a direct question? Oh, yeah! Another useful idiot! I love it. Let's just sit around pointing out how stupid they are. Because they are. Oh, we're running, are we? Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, we're running. Yeah, I've already tracked the sun. Disproved your map. Where's the flat Earth map being used? You're running! No, I'm making a direct criticism. Where's the flat Earth map? You said it was. You're frauds. Okay, so we're running while we accuse you of fraud. You said it's a flat Earth map. Dave said it's a flat Earth map. It better damn well be a flat Earth map. Not a globe map. Not a globe projection. That's not a flat Earth map. It doesn't matter what Dave the fraud, true earther, could be a really big ball, says in his app. It's fraud.
It's not that we're running. It's that we're exposing them for being just what they are, morons.
I'm outright calling this fraud. So is that me running? Let's see if they address that. Hey, QE.
Nathan, there's an old...
Yeah, go ahead and thumb through that video that you just had up to a screenshot. Where's Wally added some scientific vigor to the final experiment?
It moves from the right to the left. So to fake the footage in the Arctic would mean then we'd have the poll was won by Dave Weiss, aka Flat Earth Dave.
Another fraud. Dave has recently come out and said, I am not a flat earther, I am a true earther. He has also said, quote, it could be a really big ball. End quote, Dave Weiss. So you're sending the frauds and scammers down to represent us, to be useful idiots and beg the question of antipodal assumption on our behalf. Okay. At least we all know what the score is. We're telling you what the score is.
He's promptly rejected the offer, although he's since appeared a few days later on InfoWars arguing that the 24-hour sun is all fake and that we can't go there.
Isn't it weird that no one has circumnavigated south? Isn't it weird that they faked the 24-hour sun in Antarctica? Isn't it weird that there's camcorder, there's webcams in Antarctica where that you can watch the shadows go around, it's going, and then all of a sudden, up, it skips 8 hours.
Which is...
Hold on. I was about preemptively, I was critical of Dave. Nothing Dave said was wrong. Every single point was valid. Isn't it interesting that we don't have 24-hour footage of the sun in Antarctica? That's his point. Yeah, that's very interesting. Given that I can achieve it in the north, if it's that common of an occurrence, and it must be that common of an occurrence for your ball reification, then I can do it at the drop of a hat with very little advertising on an unknown channel on a hangout from the comfort of my own seat with absolutely zero chance of it being frauded by the guy popping up every now and again and going, there's the sun above the horizon again for 24 hours. That's easy. But yeah, it is interesting that this true earther could be a really big baller, says that these footages have been fiddled with and don't show a 24-hour sun. And the ones that do have got blatant edits in them that are doctored and frauded. So I don't see how this is critical. I can't criticise Dave for anything he just said.
It's laughable.
Dave Weiss, that is. It could be a really big ball, Dave Weiss.
The offer has since been passed on to Jaren from Jeranism, who does actually seem to be considering it, but he stipulated he doesn't want to go by himself. He wants another flat earther to go, namely Austin Whitsitt. Will has tried to accommodate this request by stating that Austin could take Will's place on the trip, so Will would then be paying for me, Jaren, and Austin to go. However, Austin...
Wow, that sounds like a really good bro trip. Iron up and eat your heart out.
...seems to have turned down that offer and seems adamant that he should...
Jeranism. Duffy has to go with us. Drop McKeegan and Duffy goes with us. Do you understand that? At Jeranism, Duffy has to go with us. Drop McKeegan and Duffy will go with us. No, you need, it's it. You need Dave McKeegan to go for the ball side of the antipodal assumption. He's a useful idiot. You can't get rid of the useful idiot because if just you and the moderator and Jaren are there, who's going to assume antipodal positioning on behalf of the ball? You need Dave for that.
Take my spot and that he, Jaren, and Will should go instead. Now, there has been a bit of an update since I recorded this video. The other day, Austin had a debate with Professor Dave, and during which he was asked about whether he was going to Antarctica or not.
Why do you have to misrepresent the person he debated? He debated a guy called Dave Farina from the Professor Dave Explains YouTube channel. You've just called him Professor Dave. No, he's not a professor. You don't have to lie on behalf of the other scumbags in your own community, Dave McKeegan. His YouTube channel is called Professor Dave Explains. Don't call him Professor Dave. Yeah? Don't steal false valor on behalf of one of your cohort scumbags.
And he seems to have suggested that he will.
I said, if it's honest, I'll go. I'm not scared of the truth, dude. I'm a flat earther because you can go see mountains from hundreds of miles away consistently. It doesn't add up. The math doesn't add up. So anyway, and
Can I bring it back?
I
Sorry,
don't know
very
how
quick.
that's going to manifest, but as of now, it looks like it could be me and Jaron going with, I guess, Dave McKeegan or something. But
Well, I give you
and
a
when we
prompt
don't
for
see the
going.
24-hour sun,
There's how the quartering is just talking straight through the top of Witsit. Great hosting.
Although currently nothing's official. Now let's get into where flat earthers have been trying to dismiss the final experiment because they say that Will is a liar.
Sorry, we have been covering this for quite some time. Now, I have said on no less than 5 separate occasions that Will has not provided us with a hypothesis to actualize. Why would you need to give us a hypothesis to actualize? Because that's what an experiment is. He's got his stooges. They're so aware of our actual objections that he's got one of his stooges offering it to us on his behalf in our live chat. So it's not like you're not acutely aware of what I've asked Duffy for, is it? But it's because we call Duffy a liar. He is a liar. He's been proven a liar. He's a self-confessed liar. This is a non-issue. He is a liar.
Now, this came about because the first...
Because he's a liar and he's self-confessed to it, and there's multiple examples, both old and new, of him lying?
bits of information about the final experiment were all done anonymously.
No, recently he said that he'd only come across the subject in 2021 when he came across a Facebook post. Then he's shown to be working with shows that are covering Flat Earth years prior. He's just a liar. There's no other way to describe it. And shout out to Banjo, who was the one that exposed this, where he showed where Will was and what was being covered at those times, when according to Will, he had no awareness of Flat Earth. Liar! Did he have a day off on the day that the shows were covering Flat Earth? No, just a liar.
It wasn't until after the full concept and the list of who was invited to...
Who cares? All that you need to do, Dave McKeegan, is assume antipodal positioning. Know your place as a useful idiot.
Take part had all been unveiled, that Will then revealed himself to be the one behind it.
Who cares? Antipodal assumptions. You're there to assume them. Jaron's there to tolerate them. That's it.
However, prior to this, he'd appeared on a different channel where he'd actually brought up talk of the final experiment, and the host had asked...
Experiment? So we're going to get some validation of the hypothesis that's going to be actualized for this experiment? You've just used the word again.
If he knew who was behind it, and he said he didn't.
Okay, do you think I give a crap who's behind the experiment? It doesn't matter. You know, if it's validated, you might get to put your name to it. If an experiment is validated, we're not at that stage. Whose name's on the door is irrelevant. What's the method? That's what we're asking. Oh, it's whether or not Duffy's a liar. No. No.
Nathan.
Go ahead.
14 minutes. You might have already went over this. I don't know if you've seen what was on screen. It's at 14 minutes if you want to stop. He's just going to go on and on about nonsense.
Individuals are fully expecting to see a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. We'd never get away with that on the globe argument. I mean, Where's Wally has already...
Yep, got it up.
I can't see it. Is it on screen?
Yes, it's on screen if you go to the live stream.
So there's Where's Wally. He's added scientific rigor. Did you already go over this?
No, I can't quite read it. It's too small on my screen.
You gotta make it big.
I can't. That's as big as it goes. I mean, I can make it bigger, but it won't make any difference for me. I can't see it bigger. Can you get it up and can you read it?
You want me to read it?
Yeah. Please.
This is create hypothesis, step 3 from Where's Wally. as the near the solstice in December 2024, the sun will always be above the sun's GP, located at or very near the Tropic of Capricorn. Alternative hypothesis is that the Earth rotates once per 24-hour around the axis from North Pole to South Pole. Union Glacier at 80 degrees south is just 10 degrees from the pole, and as the tilt of the Earth is 23.5 degrees, the sun's elevation should always be between approximately 13.5 degrees and 33.5 degrees to the horizontal. Then he has the alternative hypothesis states the sun's elevation angle remains within that range. Additionally, the sun will be visible for 24 hours continuously, while physically remaining above the GP of the sun. Additionally, caret 2, the measured rate of change of the azimuth angle will be 15 degrees per hour every hour. Thanks, Bob.
Okay, we're going to go through this step by step and just rip it a new one. Why is Wally providing me with a hypothesis that Duffy was asked for and Dave McKeegan's covering? Could it be that it's acutely aware in the Globe community what we've asked for of Duffy, and he hasn't provided? This is what we get. So everyone around Duffy knows I've asked him. Here's an example of an answer not from Duffy. Anybody else not seeing red flags here? Nice white knighting. I'm sure this other useful idiot, that'd be Where's Wally, didn't realise just how useful it would be for us when he provided this garbage. Can you go through it again, QE? And we'll just break it down step by step, if you don't mind.
We'll start from the top. We didn't get to the other train wreck hypothesis yet. At the top, great hypothesis. As near the solstice in December 2024, the sun will always be above the sun's GP.
Right, number one, that sentence makes no sense. Now, as I understand it, when you are exercising the scientific method, step one would be the observed phenomena. From that sentence, other than describing ground positions, which would require a flat plane, what does that say? It doesn't mean anything, and it makes no sense. The sun will be above its GP. What, the sun will always be above its ground position? Yeah, that's profound. Okay, yeah. If you're below the sun, it's always above you. That's what he's saying with that sentence, basically, isn't he? Meaningless. Right, next.
Alternative hypothesis is that the Earth rotates once per 24-hour around the axis from North Pole to South Pole.
Right, axis. Axis as in the description that would require a horizontal plane to describe it mathematically.
Yeah, that's one problem. The other problem is that this isn't a scientific hypothesis, for crying out loud.
Well, as you've said it now, I was going to wait till you got to the second alternative hypothesis. Is it just me? Or has this got alternative hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis? Is that just me?
No, it's not you. He's
Where in Crazyland do we ever say what we'll need for it to be a validated hypothesis is an alternative hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis? What kind of crackpot craziness is this that is being offered because I've asked Duffy for a hypothesis? His stooge seems to recognise the importance of it to formulate this. Dave seems to recognise the importance of it to present it to his audience. Duffy, nothing. Good job, useful idiots. Duffy picked wow. Right, carry on. We'll get to the flat Earth
for
measuring
the
bits.
alternative hypothesis right here. I'd like to see the independent and dependent variable in alternative hypothesis. Now, I don't know if it ends at South Pole, period, because it goes on. Union Glacier at 80 degrees south is just 10 degrees from the pole, and as the tilt of the Earth is 23.5 degrees, the sun's elevation should always be between approximately 13.5 degrees and 33.5 degrees to the horizontal.
Flat Earth proven in that statement. all of these degree measurements are angles off a flat plane. The 23-degree tilt is described with respect to a flat plane, and he's describing it all with respect to the horizontal. It's a cluster screw as a sentence, but the details of the degrees are with respect to horizontal. They're angle measurements off a flat Earth. And Dave himself, I mean, I wonder if Dave, after this, we've already covered it, so he doesn't. We know he doesn't. But Dave's already pointed out you can't get a triangle on a globe. But yet are all these descriptions of triangles going to be used on a globe, Dave? You know, this seems self-defeating when you've already admitted that you can't get triangles on a globe. Why are you using them then? Oh, so we can come along and point out the flat Earth proof in this non-Will Duffy hypothesis. Because obviously Will Duffy's clearly concerned with what we say as flat earthers when his little minion stooge useful idiots start answering questions he can't answer, personally. So it's obvious that everyone in your community knows you've not answered this, Will. Just brush it under the rug, son. The useful idiots will deal with it, and we'll call you out for being a fraud and employing useful idiots to answer questions you find troubling. Like, what are you going to actualize in your experiment? It's a hypothesis actualization, right? Where's the hypothesis? Do we take this crap from Wally? Carry on, Kiwi.
Tilt of the Earth is 23.5 degrees. Did you demonstrate that yet? Back in the question. It's stupidity. It's not a scientific hypothesis. You'd fail 5th grade general science, Wally. And triangles. If you didn't catch that, you would also fail 5th grade general science. Now on to the alternative hypothesis. The alternative hypothesis states the sun's elevation angle remains within that range.
Doesn't want to say it. Will remain within what range? A range that can only be measured off a flat Earth, Wally?
Additionally, I guess this is in addition to the alternative hypothesis. I don't know. Additionally, the sun will be visible for 24 hours continuously while physically remaining above the GP of the sun.
So the sun will remain above the ground the sun is above at all times. It will never be above a bit that it's not above.
Additionally squared, the measured... Hold on.
Did you say additionally squared?
He has a carrot and a 2. Anyway, additionally, the measured rate of change of the azimuth angle, will be 15 degrees per hour.
Let's not go too fast. What's an azimuth angle?
Yeah.
A flat Earth measurement.
Wally, you're using loads of flat Earth measurements. I mean, I'm not going to take this as read that this is Will Duffy's response that you're giving him on behalf of a man that can't seem to formulate a hypothesis for an experiment he's claiming he's doing. Nevertheless, it's just useful for me to point out that, number one, you're really stupid. Number two, you're a useful idiot. Number three, it really makes it glaring that Will knows we're asking for this and isn't giving it. You are. Carry on.
This is the last sentence. The measured rate of change of the azimuth angle will be 15 degrees per hour every hour. Thanks, Bob, in parentheses.
15 degrees an hour with respect to a flat plane.
Yeah, the title of the video is The Final Experiment. Where's Wally's suggestion for improvement is add simple scientific rigor.
Yeah, he's asking because I asked Will Duffy for a hypothesis, and then, like I say, I already had this string of replies from Will. No, it wasn't from Will. It was from this guy. But at least the community is aware of what Will's ignoring and is being answered on his behalf by his useful idiot stooges. Now everybody's aware of the importance of having a hypothesis if you're going to lend scientific validity to an experiment. It would be absolutely required. Some of them know, and Will Duffy knows because I've asked him personally, haven't I? But meanwhile, it's whether or not Will's a liar. No, that's not what we're covering, Dave. Maybe you should pay a bit more attention to what we actually cover. Yeah, I'm definitely done this time. I'm not going to cover any more of this boring crap. Did you all enjoy that? Wasn't that wonderful?
Just 5 more months of this.
What? I don't mind. 5 more months of me saying, where's the hypothesis, Will? 5 more months of me saying, Dave's only there to affirm the consequent and assume antipodal positioning. 5 more months of me saying, Jaron's had this affirming the consequent fallacy pointed out to him, and he's still going along with it. Clearly a shill.
Well, they don't
You might
even have
wanna
an
put-
observed phenomenon. They're just going out there to see if there's an observed phenomenon. You know,
Correct.
they don't even have one yet.
Correct. Their if P then Q statement requires on there being a phenomena of Q. Now, it's easier for me to formulate it with penguins because I'm pretty damn sure there is penguins down there. Whereas when I point out the fallacy, part of the fallacy is speculative. If you're going to affirm the consequent, you want to pick something that's definitely always going to occur and easily validatable because it's a fallacy to begin with. Don't pick something speculative to affirm the consequent. Yeah, months and months of this boring garbage. That's what we're going to be faced with. Banjo's under the impression this will get turned into another movie because it's got the same hallmarks that the Netflix territory was in when they were asking people to go on that show. They didn't say this is going to be a Netflix documentary. They just said, "Oh, we're just making a little video, seeing some of your experiments. We're very interested in flat Earth." That's what they told him. So, like I say, Banjo's under the impression that this is going to turn into another Netflix scenario. I said that months ago. I'll just say that already. That's why I'm smiling when I say this. Yeah, that's why we've been contrasting it with Netflix since the start. What do you know? It's all the same players. I mean, who'd have thunk it?
Well, it just shows how popular Flat Earth is because that first documentary didn't work the way they wanted. So now they're going to have to do something again like this.
Personally, I think it did. I remember speaking to a guy and I said, "Have you heard about Flat Earth?" He said, "Oh yeah, I've seen the Netflix documentary."
Just from our perspective, if the audience can let me know, do they enjoy us covering Dave McKeegan? We had a real back and forth tete-a-tete about whether or not we should cover it, based on the fact that it's incredibly tedious covering Dave, because he's so dumb. We're having to lower our standards when we respond to these ball believers because they are so thick, and it does get tedious for us. It's not a challenge. We're having to highlight Dunning-Kruger stupidity, lack of addressment of logical consistency, use of fallacy. This isn't fun. Dealing with dumbos isn't fun. Anybody agree with me on the panel, or do you all think, no, that was brilliant, that was so much fun?
Oh, I enjoy the treatment these guys get, Nathan.
I enjoy it.
Do you not feel yourself? Do you not feel your brain slightly melting? Do you not feel slightly more stupid dealing with people at this level, like Dave McKeegan, or Dave, Flat Earth Dave for that matter? Do you not feel your brain slowing down? Like
I
swimming
get
through
frustrated
treacle.
because I know they're lying, but that's it. Just because I know they're lying, I get frustrated.
Well, Dave's more flat than us. At least someone like Creaky has a bit of character.
Does he?
Oh, he has an accent.
Oh, he's Welsh. Oh, yeah. Well, that instantly gives him character then. I'm just saying specifically to Dave, I want to know from the audience, do they enjoy us covering Dave McKeegan? It's been a while.
I did to begin with when he first came on the scene because of the amount of views he was getting, but he's just so dim and boring to listen to.
Dry, very dry.
Not anymore.
Let's have a look. Another affirming the consequent fallacy debacle, says Christian. Nah, F. McKeegan, says Rune. Yeah, exactly. I spent 10 minutes, 15 minutes before the show started saying, is there anything else we can cover? But Neil was very keen because John had gone through it as a semi-treatment in the after show, but obviously that's not recorded. So he just wanted the information to be dedicated to air. I assume I did a reasonable job, Neil.
Outstanding.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy today's show, I'll be honest. But that's the other question. Did you enjoy us covering it? So regardless of how brain melting I find it, covering Dave McKeegan, as an audience, did you enjoy us covering it, regardless of how tedious I find it, or perhaps some of the panel may find it? Just let us know from the live stream chat. There's 100 odd people watching, so please let us know, did you enjoy us covering Dave McKeegan? That's all I want to know. Because if I'm reluctant to do it and the audience doesn't enjoy it, then sod covering Dave anymore. It's just too boring. Hopefully the audience will let us know. Any other comments on it from the Discord server? Don't all go at once, you keen bunch. Okay then. Any other comments from the G Plus panel? Hopefully be a bit more likely to talk.
Yeah, there's 3 more videos in Master B if you want to make up for yesterday.
You mean make up for yesterday?
We're leaving early.
Wait, I didn't leave early. What are you talking about?
We had a 30-second after show.
Yeah, we had a solid hour and 20-minute live show, and we had a good solid 45-minute pre-show. So the total, I always aim for 2 hours. That's the actual aim. I want the show to be an hour live. After I've set up, maybe 20 minutes of me starting the recording just to get everyone in the mood. And then maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, 40 minutes at the most afterwards, just in case something tails into an after show. Now, don't get me wrong, if there's somebody debating and it drags out for hours and hours, I'm content to do that. And I've got a very understanding family who are excluded from the space while that's going on. Eventually, they have to be let in. I'm attached to the kitchen and they can't get to it. But the point is that while I'm willing to do that, it's become the norm that the show runs for 4 hours. And number one, I've got other projects on at the moment. I can't do that. And I'm exhausted. I'm going to burn out. So while yesterday that I did actually have a doctor's appointment, got some ganglion cyst on my shoulder from falling over about 2 years ago, and some part of my shoulder's exploded through the bone, and now I've got some horrible lumps sticking out my shoulder. So that's what I found out yesterday. But other than that, there's no need for 4-hour shows. If anything, keeping people a bit more keen to get something discussed in the following show is advantageous. Letting people get to the conclusion of absolutely everything day after day just means that there's a good chance that the following day they're tuckered out and everything's been covered. But yeah, this default 4-hour show thing, I'm going to have to, at least while I'm finishing off the book, that's going to have to be, I can't keep doing it. It's just too exhausting. There's nothing
I was
else
hoping
on.
for 24/7 and weekends, but you're going the other way.
Yeah, I mean, more power to everybody who wants to do 24 hours of this. But number one, that's physically impossible. Number two, you get 2 minimum, often more, videos out of me daily across 2 channels. And if you're a member, you might get a little bit more, but ultimately it'll come out again when it gets released to the public. But there's lots of material that I put out for people. So this whole necessity for me to also put in 4 hours to Uncut and after shows, I just don't see it's necessary. It may be necessary on occasion, but today isn't one of those days. But with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Oh, Brian's trying to get in. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Nathan,
Brian.
how are things?
Yeah, good. No complaints. Well, many, many, many complaints, but you know what I mean. How are things for you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Left there a bit of background noise here. I'm in Tesco, so I just joined the show. I just went to watch the show. I was late. I had no internet for some reason. And you were just closing up when I started, so I was waiting and watch it. So that's why I'm joined here.
I didn't get much of a reply from the audience, although I did ask them 2 different versions of the same question. But what's your opinion? Do you enjoy covering Dave McKeegan?
Yeah, I do.
Me? No.
Yeah, fair enough.
The reason I do is because he's the epitome of our opposition, where he assumes things and just has basic, everyday rhetoric that anyone can get without any real. Like, he thinks that he's being critical, using critical thought, when it's obvious he's not. Many times, he tries to debunk things and he literally debunks himself all the time. So he's perfect. He's a perfect example of that type of person. The people we deal with.
Yeah, this is his pattern. He will claim the Earth is a globe, then he'll explain how Earth is measured flat, and then he'll conclude that it's a globe after that.
Yes, that's what he did today, exactly. Describe a load of angles that can only come off a plane. He's already disclaimed to his audience that these triangles can't come from a globe, so he understands the position. But plows on anyway. Well, if I can just use a bit of flat Earth to travel and get there, I can be there as the stooge to say I've travelled antipodal when I know damn well I haven't. I mean, he doesn't know damn well. He's too thick, it would seem. In spite of him literally telling his own audience that he can't get these triangles off a curved surface, he's going to describe the angles when describing getting down there and show Mercator projections with grids that are measured flat on them. Okay. Fine. Just what can you do other than laugh at that stupidity? But he is, you're right, Brian, that your archetypical, standardised, normie, bog standard anti-flat earther. He's very, very boring and average in what he does, what he believes, what he ignores, what he props up, how malleable and useful he is to his own side for pushing that garbage. He's the very definition of a useful idiot globe believer.
Well, what I would say is, would you put him, if you wanted to find out, if you needed somebody who you could rely on to find out, let's say, who robbed something or something like that, something that would involve investigation, where someone would have to think outside the box and whatever else to get a good result. You wouldn't be calling him, would you?
No.
He's so normal, and you know what I mean? He's so normal and so boring, and he's thinking outside the box when he's sitting inside of it. He's not the person that is going to that you want in a think tank, because he's not going to be thinking. Do you know what I mean? He's not only is he, I think, critically, but he's also decision to be dishonest also at times. So it's kind of, he's not bad, but I don't.
You're in the bread counter and you're breaking up. You're losing signal.
I'm losing signal.
Yeah.
The Wi-Fi was for some reason it's not.
Absolutely.
We got Robot Brian.
100%.
100%. Next Thursday, probably.
It's always by the bakery.
Yeah, definitely. Get your bread and then get out of there.
Potato bread.
I don't think they have potato bread. Not everything is made of potatoes in Ireland. Racist.
Prove it.
Prove that everything's not made of potatoes in Ireland. Are you serious?
Yes.
Okay, I'll get right on that once I've made this thumbnail. This, in case you hadn't just picked up subtly, is the point in the show where I'm making a thumbnail, which means that ideally you guys would be chit-chatting amongst yourselves while I do so. I mean, there's no obligation, obviously.
Well, I'm walking around Tesco's and you said you can hardly hear me, so I can't really do much.
We can hear you perfectly now, obviously.
Now you sound good.
Sound good now.
Yeah, I have to go to the cash register soon, though. Yeah, I like covering Dave McKeegan. because he's funny. He makes not he's funny, but I end up laughing because he's like he just can't. You know, he'll spend a half an hour going through a heap of nonsense as if it really matters. You know, he's going through all this detail. In this year, they did this thing and this thing and all these supposed facts that's just a load of Wikipedia nonsense. And then he'll show you some flat Earth measurement and claim it's a globe. That's nearly all of Dave's. You know, he brought out a video. I haven't watched it. It's an 11-minute video, and it's about flight. And he's trying to, attack the thing where he's saying there'd be no need to nose down around the sphere. It's like that can't be attacked. It's a geometric can't attack. But I didn't watch it. But from what I got from the comments, was that his argument was we don't understand how biggy it is, so how flatty it seems. That was his, from what I could gather. You know, it's so big that you won't have to dip your nose down. It's just like, no, Dave, this is geometric. It's geometric. Like, we have all the maths. The maths, have it all here. Can't be argued with, kind of thing. No, Dave is going to argue with it. That's quite like Dave.
Yeah, it's my contention that his dog is that dog is smarter than he is.
Possibly. It sounds like what you find amusing in what Dave McKeegan does, I find deeply irritating, but you not like it, but that amuses you. Whereas that just annoys me. Or irritates me, that's a better word.
Could he really be that dumb though? When you explain that it's a permanent consequence, I'm sure you heard it.
Yes, they could be that dumb, yes.
And people go, I don't understand what that means, affirmative consequent. Therefore, it's not relevant.
Hold on. When that was first explained to me, it was eye-opening. So you mean to tell me that when they hear it, they don't understand it? I don't believe that.
Oh, he understands. He's a liar. He's just lying. He's got his YouTube views and he's getting his paycheck and he's lying.
There you go.
You talking about Dave McKeegan?
Yeah, I think he's a liar.
I agree. They'll milk it for all the YouTube views it's worth. And ignorance is bliss if you're getting paid.
I wonder if his audience, like people that actually watch it, I mean, who knows if his audience is actually real, right? Because who knows? But do they realize that he's measuring Earth as flat and then claiming it's a globe later? Like,
No.
I wonder if they realize that.
No, his audience is too stupid to realise that. So when he says you can't get a triangle off a globe and explicitly tells them that it doesn't work, they'll hear Earth's a globe.
That's correct, and we didn't realize it for years.
But he's explicitly detailing it not working on a globe in the words he says. They won't even recognise it when he explicitly... I can't remember who it was. Someone recently said that if you were to tell people that if one of the astronauts that claimed to went to the moon said, I didn't go, I lied, there's a good chunk of people that would still believe it. They'd rather believe that they were lying about lying than accept that they hadn't gone, even in the face of someone directly telling them.
That's actually happened not too long. Sorry to interrupt you, Nathan, but yeah, that's actually happened with Buzz Aldrin. He's talking to that little girl in this interview and saying, "Oh no, that was CG or an animation." I think he says that wasn't real, and people still believe him. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he's explicitly said, we didn't go. One day we'll get to go. And people still don't, that's not enough. It's, well, he's just old and he's drunk and he's nuts. He did go. Because I want him to have gone.
I guess is that just cognitive dissonance on an extreme scale, like
Yes.
mass cognitive dissonance? Okay.
Absolutely correct, yes. That frustrates me. you know, like I said earlier, Brian might be amused by that, but that gets my goat. It reminds me of like Comedy of Errors. Did anybody ever used to watch Faulty Towers?
Yes.
I've never heard of that.
Well, in Faulty Towers, everything goes wrong in this hotel, and it's a comedy of errors. Everything's constantly failing or going wrong for the owner, and he takes it out on one of the housekeepers, Manuel. I hated that show because I don't like comedies where things are constantly going wrong for the main protagonist. When I watch Dave McKeegan, I just find myself slapping my own head, going, "Oh God!" and it just grinds.
Are you saying Dave is Basil Fawlty? Sorry.
No, I mean, in this scenario, Duffy would be faulty and he'd be Manuel. He's the useful idiot, isn't he? He's not the hotel owner. I can just see him getting clipped round the ear when he tries to expand out beyond what he's designated to do. You know, gets a clip round the ear. Just tell him you're assuming antipodal positioning, Dave. Don't waffle on about your cameras and your filters. Clip.
Yeah, he's going on about how lenses work and you can see the sunspots and, oh, we can see this not actual size of the sun change. But I mean, that doesn't mean anything. Like, you know, if you ignore the claim at the beginning and if you ignore the conclusion at the end, his information is actually good in the middle.
What his flat Earth elevation angles, his flat Earth references to positional data, his use of latitude, his use of the sun's GP, all of these flat Earth proofs are quite good.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't know why he's coming. Well, actually, no, we do know why. All of his views. Never mind.
I forgot to promote your show, QE.
It's okay.
I'm sorry, I did intend to. It's because you sent it yesterday. So I almost shouted it out at the end of yesterday's show.
No worries.
What are you covering today?
Will Duffy.
Shocking. Glutton for punishment.
Yeah, we're going to continue on with it was Will Duffy and those two. I don't know whether they were flat earthers or two-earthers. I don't know who they were, but him and the two bozos.
This is a part two, though, isn't it? You did that once before.
Yes, this is part 2. It was the last one. Oh, and remember, we got Ballbusters Saturday.
Okay. When are we next working on the book? Where's Adam?
Did I hear Ballbuster Saturday?
Yeah, we do. Yes, thanks.
Woohoo.
Yeah, we got Ballbusters Saturday. Yeah, I just said it. The book tomorrow.
I'm in an area where I can't hear that good. Excuse me, QE.
Then why did you say Ballbusters?
I heard a mumble something about today, and then I heard Ballbusters. That's
Sure,
it.
you did. Prove it.
So I wanted confirmation. That's all, Sergeant.
No, I don't work for 11.
Play the recording in your head, Neil, that you heard and prove it to us.
Oh, shut up, Johnny. Oh, Johnny's not here.
Got some stowed anger for Johnny there, Neil. Hey, Adam.
No, but that's my new thing now.
You there, Adam?
Yeah. Afternoon, guys.
When are you free today, or aren't you?
heading home in a very short amount of time. But we've got QE live tonight, haven't we?
Yeah, but that's not so much later.
I'm okay from probably maybe an hour or so. I'll be home within the hour, and then I've probably got an hour before I've got to do stuff and then get ready for QE live. But yeah, I mean, time
Okay,
you've rounded out and stuff.
So at 4:30 UK time, yeah?
Yeah, till about 5:30, and then I've got stuff to do from 6 o'clock until QE live.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. Cool.
You okay with that, QE? Starting about
Doesn't
an
sound
hour.
good for me. Doesn't sound good for me. I told you Wednesday.
Yeah, but can you do an hour today? In an hour? No response. Non-responsive. Okay, we'll do it tomorrow. Adam.
That's fine. We'd planned that anyway, so I've made sure I'm free tomorrow evening. I'll try and get away a little earlier as well.
I actually forgot that we planned to do it tomorrow, to be honest.
Oh, well, we didn't tell you.
Oh. That's probably why.
Yeah, it was organised behind your back.
No, that's fine. That's all good. I'm glad. That's better, if anything. Good. These things are happening regardless of if I want them to or not. Good.
Yes. Yes, they are.
Well, that's good. I'm being dead serious. That's good.
Well, because sometimes at the end of shows, you leave. You don't say goodbye. You don't say it's good to be there with you guys. Yeah, you just plop, gone.
That's not true. Every single show, I thank all of you without exception.
Yeah, but you don't stay after.
After I've
Maybe
thanked
on
you,
occasion.
after I've thanked and said goodbye, I don't stay around. After I've thanked you and bid farewell to you, I should stay.
Yeah, no, you bid farewell to the audience.
Look, I can mix these things to my advantage all day long. I assure you.
Train wreck yourself. You just train wreck yourself.
No, I can double speak my way around this indefinitely.
No, you can't. We'll bust you.
We'll see about that.
I just did.
Right, is a huge, massive, enormous thank you not enough?
No, it's not enough because I said that's directed towards the audience.
This is like a phone call with my mother. Bye, mother. Well, just one more thing. 25 minutes later. No, I really do have to go this time. Well, just before you do.
And then you bring in one of your train wreck analogies. That's typical.
So you're just listing things that I do after I've done them. How is this useful?
Yeah. Back to the original point. You don't say goodbye to us personally. It's for an audience. So it's not personalized.
I didn't know you were that sensitive. So you want an individualistic thank you and goodbye to each.
No, I don't want any thank yous. I want you to stay your ass in here after the show for about 2 minutes just to catch up on any updates that we may have.
Oh, I see. I spend those 2 minutes uploading to the second show and making sure my members get a video. I mean, I could
That's fine. You can do that. You could do your admin after the show, no problem. But just pop in and say anything else, guys. That would be helpful.
Okay, I'll be sure to do that.
All right.
Just preemptively, is there anything else, guys? So I get that out of the way now.
What is the timeline on your book now, Nathan? Do you have an ETA on release date?
2, probably maybe 3 years from now it'll come out.
Maybe.
Yeah, I reckon, if I'm realistic, it's going to be another couple of weeks to get this draft tore up and rewritten, and then another couple of weeks to a month for the publisher to go through it with a fine-tooth comb again, which he's already done twice, and then it'll be ready. So I would guess a couple of months, maybe September.
I think that December would be a good time.
No, that's not the way it's going to go.
Probably not.
No.
I'm saying September. It'll probably end up getting pushed till December. There, that sounds more realistic. But you know,
No.
And then what about with their nonsense with Antarctica? You could be promoting that.
That won't even. It's not even worthy of going in. Honestly. Anybody disagree? It's not even worthy of going in. It's had a fundamental rewrite. The reason this has taken so long, just so you're clear, you may have been around, so this is for the audience benefit. I'm not saying because you haven't been involved, which you may have been in some of the rewrites. The book was written pre-2024 and focused primarily on housekeeping questions. But then after it was all done, and the title was done, the cover was done, it was ready, and it was literally just in a position to go, right, let's send this out to people and get them to read it before it's published so I can go on shows. And I started contacting them. Literally, I started making moves to do that, which I've still got the data for, so it's still useful. I've got all those emails, which is good. And I can get more between now and then. So that aside, it wasn't not useful to do that. Anyway, what happened was 2024 swings around and suddenly we're promoting a completely different rhetoric. We're saying move forward on the front foot, promote the fact that Earth's flat. We're in a position to do so now. We don't need to be reactive. We can be proactive in our own bloody argument, which we should have been from day one. Now, if you're punting that, we should have been doing this from day one. We've been led down a path of feast of nonsense garbage. Then that really needed to be in there, and it wasn't, because when it was written, that wasn't even a thing. It wasn't a sentiment that we were doing when it was being written. So there was a group, if you like, decision that it needed to be fundamentally rewritten with that in mind, which is what's happened. And as much as I have literally been tearing my hair out, it's incredibly stressful watching something that you've made just get ripped up and put back together again. Annoying, frustrating, hard work. On the other hand, I've got great people around me helping me do it. So the end result will actually be a lot better. Now that we're 2/3 of the way through doing that, I know already that the outcome is easily worth it. There was a point where you're like, should we do this? Should we just get on with it? And then if there's another new book needed, I'll just write another one that's about moving on the front foot or something like that.
Have you actually convinced yourself that that was the sequence of events?
That was the sequence of events.
It wasn't. It wasn't. It was ready to be published, and then I came back off of my problematic period, and I said, really, you got a book, can you send it to me? And then 2 days later I get a copy, and I went through it and I said, this shit ain't happening. That's what happened.
Yeah, well, you're making it seem like an over-exaggerated version of your version of this event, which is
no.
Yeah, well, somewhere in the middle of these two extremes is the reality of the situation. My view on it is that okay.
No, it's not. That's exactly what happened.
It was exactly.
Nice try, Oakley.
It was exactly as QE says, not like I say, even though I've experienced it firsthand, and that's my description of it.
Yeah, that's not how it happened.
Yeah, but you're a bit tricky lately, so no one can really trust what
Why
you're
are
saying.
you bloody Irish telling me I'm tricky? What's going on? Not tricky.
Well, let's just say you have a tendency to talk your way around the truth.
Talk my way over. How is anything I've just said dishonest? Or you didn't say that. How have I talked my way around? What you're saying is I'm not giving your version of events, therefore I'm talking my way around the truth. What a blatant distortion of reality. No.
That's not what I said.
Brian wants me to be some Piers Morgan politician type that's slippery and chalking his way around the questions, and that's what Brian perceives me as at the moment for some reason.
That's not who I want you to be. What I want you to be is honest and straight, which are being a Piers Morgan.
I love it. I gave that lead in. My own fault. I laid the trap for myself.
So the person asking, I am the fault that book is not out, so you can blame me.
Okay, I mean, I don't mind offering it up for you to say, no, you put the kibosh on and instigated a lot of changes. I'll happily ascribe that to you if you want it. But it wasn't just you. There was lots of people around you saying similar things.
No, it wasn't. I said, this ain't happening. This book ain't going out. That's what I said. And then we proceeded to embark on a rewrite.
Yes, incorporating in 2024 rhetoric.
No, and fixing all the train wrecks.
Yes, there was also amendments to fix things. For example, the scientific method needed an entire rewrite because it wasn't worded correctly. And there was various different references that were in there to quantum mechanics that weren't correct either. Now, for whatever reason, in the translation from me dictating it to it getting written up, there was lots of inaccuracies that in one chapter, there was an entire chapter just removed and replaced. Well, yeah, I'm not going to deny that that's happened, if that's what you're suggesting when Brian says I'm being slippery because I haven't mentioned those things. No, typically, Brian, people aren't that self-deprecating. But I'm not going to deny it if it gets brought up. That's not me being slippery.
I don't want to jump in and rewrite the whole book, but I did want to ask if there's a section about like common globe claims, and then that would be a good place to address this final experiment if it's in there.
I don't want it in there. It's the base skeleton is the
Do not
house.
give this final experiment a line in this book.
The base skeleton premise is the housekeeping question. So a lot of the structure is around those questions, and there's still the subheadings for each of the chapters, or a lot of the chapters. So you can imagine if we're covering housekeeping questions, obviously we're going to be covering the base premise of their argument, because within the housekeeping question itself, it addresses their position and undoes it within the question. Well, that's expanded on greatly in each of the chapters for each of the housekeeping questions, along with other stuff.
And Nathan, I didn't. You reworded what I actually said. I said you talk around the truth. You have a truth radius. You make a circumference around the truth, and you stay on that circumference.
This is what friends do to each other, by the way. Poke, poke, jab, jab. Eventually, I'll get between the ribs, right, Brian?
That's the response that someone gets from you when they speak the truth.
Is everything I say going to get turned around to my detriment today?
Yes, Piers.
Yes, Piers.
Yeah, well, if you continue to be tricky, then that's what's going to continue.
I'm not even going to waste any brain energy on spinning this round.
To happen.
I'm not even going to waste the energy. I could turn this into detrimental stuff against Brian. That's meaningless and hollow and vague, but I'm not going to. Just not going to do it.
Do what you want. I won't change your situation.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll just roll into it. Yeah, you're right. I am. I'm just like Piers. Proud to be so. Oh, or released a new members only video. Did anybody catch it?
No, I was gone. You interrupted me.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, just remember that. Just because it's your show. All right. Well, guess who's dropped back in the community? I've been seeing a lot. Negator. That friggin' moron.
Yeah, I saw him prop up a couple of times recently too.
Yeah. Hope he comes in.
The old guard from 10 years ago will start piling in. It's happened on our own side too. I noticed Patricia Steers started releasing her old videos. So it seems like we're going to see some old faces from both sides re-emerging.
Huh. He's dumber than he was 10 years ago. Is that even possible?
Maybe.
No, it's not a maybe with this knuckle dragger. Negator, what a moron. I was reading some posts from him yesterday. I was bored. I'll try to find him. Hold on.
Yeah, people are coming out of the woodwork left and right. Oh, there's a good fallacy to latch onto. Better get vocal.
Yeah, Conspiracy Cats is back.
Yeah, that's another one. Put his head above the pulpit. Anyway, I'm going to plug my video while Kiwi's looking for those comments from Negatorxx. The video is called Space Debunked, and it's the debate between the guy who came in and said words to the effect of, if we get better quality images at 8K 300 frames per second, that'll mean that we prove our premise. And in rebuttal, he had sky vacuum violates natural law. And in response to that, he said, nobody said it's a vacuum. So then we point out NASA says it's 10 to the minus 17 torr, and that's a violation of natural law. His response is, no one says it's a perfect vacuum. Response, that's a straw man, no one says it was. We've pointed out what NASA claim it is, and that's a violation of natural law. Response, shutting me down isn't winning. Response, here's all your rebuttals you've given me thus far. That's not shutting you down. That's a rendition of your rebuttals. Response from the Globe Believer, oh, we didn't get when he ran away. Anyway, that's called Space Debunked. Check it out, if you remember. Oh no, I released it to the public. Now you can actually see, all of you can see that now. That's released to the public. I released it this morning.
Did he come back and thank you for the information?
No, he projected that he was being shut down. So he'd offer a rebuttal, for instance, shutting me down is not winning. And I go, thank you for your rebuttal. And then I'd start addressing it, and he'd start rumpusing me saying, you're shutting me down. In other words, he'd offer a rebuttal, I'd try and attempt to respond to it, and it would come with a follow-up interruption through the top of the response. Mostly saying that he was being shut down. Fairly standard form globe-believing behaviour. I'll rumpus the living daylights out of the rebuttal so I don't have to address it, and then moan that you've shut me down when you try and offer that rebuttal that I've tried to talk through. How dare you?
And then he ran away at the end.
Yes.
He just left the server.
Yeah, rather than addressing any of the rebuttals to his, it's not a vacuum, not a perfect vacuum, shutting me down isn't winning, he just ran away. Did he address the second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum rebuttal that he originally had in response to his claim that 8K, 300 frames per second imagery will prove space is real? No, none of that got addressed. The responses to his claim in the first instance never got addressed. The rebuttals never got addressed. The multiple strawmans he offered up in rebuttal and their address to them weren't addressed. He just ran away and told us that we were shutting him down.
Been going through hundreds of posts about for this idiot Negator. He's over the past 10 hours. He has about over 100 posts, just single answers, just single line answers. So I finally got to it. He needs to be institutionalized. You little clown, you. Listen to this. Negator from yesterday, 1142. Gases expand and our atmosphere is generally homogeneous. Gas has a downward bias, as evidenced by helium balloons going up.
What? The first one was outrageous. The second was, oh my God, this guy is insane. We have a downward bias. It's proven because of this stuff going up.
Yeah,
Up
he's
and
attempting
down
to
are the
hijack
same
points.
thing. Sorry, Brian, go ahead.
Let me finish it. Gas has a downward bias as evidenced by helium balloons going up, which require the denser atmosphere to go down. The helium balloon rising is due to buoyancy.
What a bozo.
What an idiot.
They
even if
do
you
this all
take
the
his-
time. They say up and down are the same thing. That's what they'll get to eventually.
It's like if you roll into his stupid logic, it's like saying if you ignore all of the aspects of gas and where they're produced at ground level and expanding out and up, in line with entropic dispersion, then I can compare the behaviour of water with the behaviour of gas. But in his suggested comparison to water behaviour, he's saying if you take a basketball to the bottom of the ocean and let it go, then the water that's just in existence as an ocean is all pouring down in a downward bias to make the basketball float to the top. Like, so your suggestion is the reason the basketball goes up is because all of the water's pouring down on top of it when it's just an ocean full of water with a displacement because of disequilibrium. No. But they would have you believe that anisotropic inhomogeneous gases are pouring down from the sky factories producing them to force a helium balloon up. Like, it doesn't behave that way in any other comparison, even when they're bonded molecules, which these are not when we're describing gas, that's produced at ground level and goes up. It's utterly absurd. It's a false comparison, and even the false comparison itself has a description that doesn't make sense. The basketball isn't going up from the bottom of the ocean because the water's being poured down. It's nutty. It's just stupid. Even if that comparison held true, gas doesn't behave that way. It disperses.
I put his post. I'm sorry. I put his post in Ballbusters and Master B, so you could pull it up so everyone could see it.
On screen now.
They ruin the experience of the server, which is something I enjoyed when I first started using it. So
Which
why
server?
should we really tolerate that though? Because most people, if they came in with a misapprehension or something and they were shown to be wrong, they just accept it and move on. Whereas these people don't accept anything. So why are they allowed in the server still to punt nonsense continuously?
It's hard to know what
Are you
to do.
talking about my server?
But I don't know if he's talking about your server, but what he's saying is the majority of people affirm their bias of a religious belief that is the consensus opinion. And when something challenges that, they will reaffirm the consensus opinion. And the consensus will stick by them because they're ignorant. You're suggesting that because they've already had these positions addressed, they're not just coming with an idle curiosity, they shouldn't be tolerated in the server because they know better. Is that your point?
Absolutely.
Is it whose server are you talking about?
The FED server. Virus, Protofad, Negator. There's loads of them. They just flood it.
Have they broken any server rules?
No.
No, and as I said, it's not because of that. It's because they refuse to acknowledge, and they just rinse and repeat what they've already had their ass handed to them over.
You just point that out. That's all you can do.
Oh no, yeah, but it just makes a server. It's not the best place to be anymore.
Because of all the rhetoric that's being spewed, that it's like, I've already dealt with this. Why should I have to go over this with Protothad again? Why should I have to go over this with Negatorxx again? That's your attitude. Yeah, you should see my comment section. Day after day after day, I get people repeating the same rinse and repeat garbage. Half the time, when you ban them, they just create a new sock account to do the same thing on a sock account. Because they need to relieve their pain.
You guys don't have to engage them.
This continues, by the way. I'm not done yet.
He's actually righteous. He was addressing, but you feel free, Kiwi.
Unless you want to read it, I mean, to stick, focus, get the Adderall drip out, okay? Now, helium balloon rising is due to buoyancy. The helium balloon within the vacuum chamber will drop with nothing for it to sit upon, just as you would drop if someone pulled the chair out from under you. Evidence of pressure without a container is met when you simply see pressure, but no container.
We don't. So in his example, he's got a helium balloon going down in a vacuum chamber. But the balloon itself is a container. And the balloon itself demonstrates that gas within that containment of the balloon is expanded in all directions. And if there was no balloon, the gas would expand into the vacuum chamber itself in all directions. But because we've got a balloon, that's solid, by the way. The balloon is a solid. In a vacuum chamber, with gas expanded in all directions inside the balloon, it means that gas itself goes down. Now, the balloon is a container. The container went down. But the gas inside the container still expanded in all directions inside the balloon. So how is that in any way suggesting that gas goes down? Unless you had a pancake-shaped balloon that was completely flat, with all the gas laying on the bottom, with a disc rather than a balloon with all gas inside it. It's just absurd. Like, the gas inside the balloon's expanded in all directions to make the balloon expand. Idiots.
The evidence of pressure without a container is met when you simply see pressure, but no container. Not sure why your brain broke when this was pointed out to you.
Yeah, what that's saying is, that's the begging the question fallacy that says, I see gas pressure, you don't. But let's metaphorically suggest for a second that it's got colour and you can see gas. I see gas pressure out my window, and I assume there is no containment for the gas I'm breathing. Therefore, I just need to point at the sky to validate this second law of thermodynamics violation. We have got gas, and it isn't contained. Therefore, gas pressure without a container. That's the argument. It's so garbage. It's just idiotic.
Can I chime in?
Say again?
Let me chime in real quick. See Sensual Goat, how that provided content for the show?
He's got you there, Sensual Goat. How are you going to respond to that?
No, you don't have to engage with these guys. You don't have to engage
don't
with
say the
these
win yet.
guys.
He was
And when we-
responding righteous. Go ahead, Sensual Goat.
No, that's a very good point.
Perfect.
The thing is, we don't have to engage with them. And when we created FE only rooms and also global only rooms, people don't really do anything in those rooms. They want to engage with the opposite people, so to say. It just is what it is. If they just stick to the rules and they don't break the rules, then they're okay.
I personally find it hilarious that those guys show up every day spouting the same rhetoric because it just shows how desperate and painful it is for them. I mean, can you imagine spending every day, hours and hours doing this when you hate it? It's funny.
Yeah. I mean, it drives them to insanity. You get people like Miles Deliah Davis coming along, doing it day after day after day after day after day.
Here we go again. Adderall drip time. I'm the Adderall drip. Hey, focus. We're still on the post. God's sake. So the next statement. If you assert this isn't evidence because you think a container already exists, then you want me to leave Earth's supposed container to give you the evidence you asked for. Laughing out loud.
It's trying to turn the argument into a defense. That's reasonably clever. He's taking our position and saying, if you're to suggest that I automatically assume a container, no, it's an antecedent consequent relationship. But therefore, what you suggest that tacitly you'll accept that there must be containment, but then move the goalpost to suggest that we're asking you to go outside of the containment that is a prerequisite to get your photo of containment that isn't in your rhetoric. Fail. Total fail.
Can I just address Negator for a second? I'm going to say something, and I hope he hears it, and I hope that he somehow eventually understands it. Solids only have pressure in one direction. That's down, right? In the medium we live in of air, solids go down, right? Water or liquids have pressure in both down and laterally. They have no upward pressure. So solids and liquids have no upwards pressure. Gas has pressure in 360 degrees. That's in all directions. So you need to work out the difference between those three things. That's solids, downward pressure, liquids, lateral and downward, no upward, and gas in all directions. Now, I don't know how long it'll take him and his cohorts to understand the implications of that. But that is their their major malfunction. That's it.
I just want to point out that some solids can go up, like helium balloons.
Yeah, but helium balloon is the overall density. It's overall density. You're going to so do anvils in mercury.
Right, it was the one.
Right, you know what I mean, we're talking about in the everyday world. Helium balloons, like we can mess with buoyancy, and buoyancy, yeah, the overall density of something in relation to the density of the medium, blah blah blah. But as a general, solids only have a downward pressure, right? In the world we live in, right? Liquids have downwards and lateral pressure, and gases pressure in all directions. If you put them into different scenarios, you put a piece of wood that falls down in air into water, it'll float until the air that's inside is replaced by water. Then it'll sink. Right. So it's all that's just density differential. But in general, solids will have a downward pressure, liquids have a lateral and downward pressure, and gas has pressure in all directions.
Last
there another?
statement.
Was there one
Last
more?
statement. Yeah. Compressed oxygen doesn't just decide to start heading towards Earth on its own. It was already doing that. If you can explain why you think gas levitates despite having mass, go for it. End of post.
Sorry,
you're a friggin' retard.
He says
Sunshine.
gas starts its journey. So we're back to helium and oxygen factories in the sky. It's all those sky trees.
Who knows what this numpty dipshit? He's a genuine retard.
Could you say that again, QB? Read that out again, please.
Yes, compressed oxygen doesn't just decide to start heading towards Earth on its own. It was already doing that. If you can explain why you think gas levitates despite having mass, go for it. You friggin' retard negator. You're an abject retarded person. After all these years, you got dumber.
I think now would be a good time to explain elastic collisions.
Well, what's after happening is, as opposed to actually learning about gas behavior and other things, gas cycles, things like that, he has decided to not learn and just double and triple and quadruple down over the years on the misunderstanding. That's what he's decided to do. They're all, a lot of them are at that at the moment. They're deciding to not learn. You know, what can you do? You can't force someone to learn. What?
I was going to say, it's such a common argument that we've had for so many years that we can summarize it in a few words. Gas has mass. Gas go down, go boom, boom. Go splash, splash. That's it. That's the argument. Right, I am going to round out on that note. Thank you, QE. So with that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.